What's up, locals? It's Mike and Kenzie coming to you live from the 775. Now, before we get into this episode, we have one small request. Please be sure to like and subscribe wherever you watch or listen. Now, let's get into it.
Randall Bowman, welcome to your favorite locals podcast. Yay!
Nice to officially meet you.
I know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this conversation I think has been a long time coming, but we are super excited to be talking to you for multiple reasons. One, you are an Indigenous woodworker here in Reno, Nevada.
Yeah.
And you also have a really intense and powerful story overcoming addiction that has led you to being a sobriety advocate and then also starting your nonprofit organization, which we would love to learn more about.
Yeah, for sure.
So maybe we can start with that. All Nations Art Collective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give us the rundown.
So we founded it. We're a year old now.
Nice.
It was me, my wife, our friend Veronica, who's a photographer, and because the whole thing's kind of centered around art. So one of the founding members is a photographer. My wife is a celebrity makeup artist.
Yeah.
And I'm a woodworker and musician. So
Nice.
we thought if we were doing all these things anyway, we were going and doing things for the community, but it gets really, really, really expensive. And we knew that if we could get into the nonprofit scene, we would be able to have a larger budget for the kids, because that's really where our focus is going to be. It's rural Indigenous youth, because out there on the reservations that are out there, the colony is a little bit different because it's I think it's the only reservation that's in a city.
Oh.
Really?
Yes. I'm pretty sure. There might be one in San Francisco, but I think the colony is the only one.
Interesting.
Because when they put them on the reservation, they were like, town is never going to make it that far.
Mm-hmm. It just kept expanding.
It was like 3 miles away from the downtown. I don't know what they were thinking. But anyway, they were like, just put them by the river.
Did you grow up on a reservation?
No, I didn't. I grew up actually out here. I grew up in the North Valleys.
No
the
way.
Back of Lemon Valley. We had a little ranch out there that we would raise hogs, and my mom was a barrel racer, and it doesn't look
so
like
cool.
it or seem like it, but I grew up in the rodeo. So
Were you riding? What were you doing?
no, we did some roping and stuff, but like most of it, my mom did some, I think, semi-pro barrel racing. A bunch of her friends went pro. It was pretty crazy stuff, but we grew up on horses and raising pigs mainly, and chickens and geese and goats, and
That's so wild. So
all that
then,
kind of stuff.
were you in the Reno rodeo ever? Or was your...
No, but actually my stepson 2 years ago did the mutton busting.
I love that.
I was just about to ask about that. If we have kids ever someday, I want them on that sheep.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, for sure. And just having kids around animals like that. Even if like we don't have animals now because we're so busy, we couldn't take care of a horse.
It's a full-time job.
But all of our neighbors have them, so we're sending our boys down to clean their stalls, and it's important because it's horrible work. Horrible, terrible,
Yeah,
dangerous,
I don't think I would want to do
awful
that.
work. But it's good for you, I think, as a kid.
Yeah, I think it's like kind of similar. We volunteered at the homeless shelter with Grant, and I was cleaning the showers and the toilets, and so I kind of imagine as a little kid that would be similar.
At least you don't get kicked by a horse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you could get kicked there. They were kind of crazy.
Psychologically, though, it makes a lot more sense to clean up a bunch of animal feces
Yeah,
It does.
than
than human feces.
than human feces.
Yeah,
that
totally.
can get a little wily.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
it's a whole other. But I guess it's similar. No, it's not.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Cleaning human feces is way worse.
There's something that goes through your head where you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, it's good to. I'm stoked that you guys are out there doing that kind of stuff, because it seems to be a more popular thing. Like before, when I was younger, I think it was like Food Not Bombs was the thing that I did. With all
What is that?
Food Not Bombs was this little, they have them all over the country, but the one here, it's basically just a bunch of punk rock kids and anarchists that make dinners and give them out to the homeless.
Oh, that's cool.
That's really cool because the expectation socially is that it's like, oh, those punk kids are going to be like, fuck society, but probably doing more than the people that would be judging them.
Yeah, and it's that common misunderstanding of like what anarchy or anarchism is. It's like it's not supposed to just be breaking windows and burning stuff.
Right.
Like I thought when I was like 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're mad at the world and ready
Yeah.
to rage.
Yeah, but it's actually like people for people, by people.
Yeah.
So some kids get it, but I don't even know if there's a punk rock scene anymore. I'm all fucking old.
Actually,
Can
I
there
curse?
is. Oh yeah, you can.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Speak your mind.
Okay.
Speak as
Very
you
good.
do.
Yeah.
I would prefer it. Yeah, there's a punk rock scene out here.
It's at Midnight Coffee, I would say.
Yeah,
Do you
there's
know Midnight Coffee?
No.
It's like
in
kind of
Mid-
South Midtown area, but they have a lot of like the screamo bands that go to the coffee shop, and
Oh,
Midnight Coffee is like open till midnight. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they are open late, and then they do like open mic comedy on Friday nights, and then they'll do shows after. There's a band called Pussy Velour, and
Yeah,
literally swinging from the
I've
rafters.
heard of them for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wolfgang. He's an interesting cat.
Yeah, that's cool that that's still a thing because that was such a huge part of my young adult life.
Yeah.
Let me backtrack so I can finish. We're trying to help these kids on these rural
yes.
these rural reservations because there's nothing to do. And when there's nothing to do, but there's always drugs and booze and fights and trouble to get into, well, you're going to get into trouble.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that if we can just get these kids exposure to the arts, whether it's photography or makeup or music or woodworking or just entrepreneurial stuff.
Yeah.
Because some kids aren't built for school either.
Yeah.
Many are
wasn't.
not. Yeah.
I tried. I was smart enough, but because school was so easy, I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? So I wasn't there ever. So we're hoping if we can just get these kids the exposure into anything and get them busy, that they'll hopefully the statistics will change a little bit because the statistics are pretty overwhelmingly negative right now.
Is the youth that you're trying to target, is it only Indigenous youth or?
Primarily, that's what we would like to do, but we want to dive into any and all communities that require help and assistance, and we just want to make an impact that is lasting rather than running around and just making the facade that we're a nonprofit and on the back end raking in however much money they rake in. Because there's lots of nonprofits that are
Profiting.
yeah, super profitable.
Crushing it.
Yeah, but we want to help these kids because my wife grew up on res. I grew up in a trailer park, which is, I don't think the reservation is the problem as much as it obviously has all of its own problems. It's poverty.
It's a lack of opportunity in a lot of places.
Because I grew up the same exact way everyone on the res grows up. So that's what we're trying to adjust. But
So you grew up in a trailer park area in North Valley, and then your wife, which reservation did she grow up on?
she grew up on a bunch of different reservations. So her mom, in her later life, didn't want her living on the reservation because her mom grew up on the Poma Reservation in Southern California. And so they lived in town, but my wife spent a good amount of time in Oklahoma with a family that kind of took her in and helped her because her father died when she was real little, I think 1 or 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
So they took her in. Her mom was just a young kid. She was a teenager, maybe in her 20s. So she lived on the Oklahoma reservation with the Apache or the Comanche, I can't remember. And sometime in Arizona on her reservation, which she's Kachan, and she's Washoe from out here.
Okay.
So she went to Head Start with the kids out here too. So she kind of
Yeah.
bounced around quite a bit. But then also, when she was older, went to regular like high school and just lived in Sparks. So she got a mix of kind of both worlds,
Yeah.
which is really helpful.
Super interesting too, because it seems like a lot of the Indigenous people that are living on reservations kind of stay there and are not as much going to like the public high school or just public school in general. What was the culture like growing up on a reservation and in that type of
It's
environment?
it's tough. It's a tiny, tiny community where everybody knows everybody. Everyone's a cousin somehow,
Everyone knows everyone's problems too, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. So there's just a ton of issues upon mental illness, upon obviously alcoholism is a huge issue on reservations, and it's mainly just because most Europeans have been dealing in alcohol for hundreds of years, as Native Americans have only been dealing in alcohol for the last 100. So they haven't necessarily evolved to the point to be able to handle it. That's why there's all those stories and kind of cliches about drunk Indians being so violent. It's because their body can't process or handle the alcohol.
Yeah.
So these communities, although there's a lot of culture in some of them still, there's still traditions and there's still powwow and there's still prayer and sweat and that kind of stuff. But outside of it, it's a lot of pain for these kids. They stay close knit, and they don't leave. I think because they don't have the exposure, and because the way that reservations are they're sovereign, but also they run like nonprofits. So on the reservations where there are per capita or the people on the res are taken care of in some way, then they're taken care of just well enough to not really have to leave.
So it's you in that negative state where you get real comfortable.
Yeah, it's kind of the same as like government assistance. And people are like, "Well, why would I go for the higher position? You're going to take away all my assistance."
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as you
Oh my gosh.
take 2 steps forward, Grant was talking about that.
Yeah.
Where it's like the first step out of homelessness is extreme poverty. And that fucking sucks. And then to keep going from there is like, it's not going to get comfortable.
No, it gets harder.
Yeah.
It gets harder. And so it just creates this very interesting loop.
Yeah.
But there, like I said, there is still a lot of tradition, and there are some tribes that still fully speak the language and are trying to pass that down to the youth.
Yeah.
It's tough. That's why also my wife being an archivist for the Reno Sparks Indian Colony, one of the things we want to do is we really want to start documenting language and things like that from different tribes and using blockchain to store it.
Oh, that's smart. I like that idea.
Wait, I don't know what blockchain is.
Crypto.
Oh.
What crypto is ran off of is the blockchain, which is basically a ledger system that can't be altered.
Okay.
So once things are stored in it, it's stored.
It's stored and it's there.
And
It's in the cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't lose it.
That would be incredible, actually. And even if you, I mean, do a lot of the kids know how to speak the language pretty well?
On some reservations, like
Yeah.
a reservation like mine, there's maybe a handful of people that speak Wiyot because all of the language and majority of the people were destroyed in the early 1900s. It wasn't even that long ago. The last big massacre of like my tribe.
Yeah.
I was doing a little bit of research reading about it. And I was like, this fucking sucks.
It is really, really crazy.
Yeah.
So my tribe's really small.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want to share a little bit more about like the history of your tribe?
Yeah. So my reservation is just south of Eureka, California. We're in Lolita,
Okay.
right on the coast, with the redwoods backing us. So it's gorgeous up there. It's so cool and so nice. But late 1800s, early 1900s, every year there would be a huge powwow and ceremony on Indian Island, which is just off the coast of Eureka. The whole tribe would go out. The village people and the people, because at that point everyone had made it to California and they were already going for gold and that whole thing. One day into a night, all of the men had to leave to go get food and water. So it was just women, children, and the elders. The townspeople formed a militia, rode over in the middle of the night, and either clubbed everybody to death or threw them off the cliffs into the water.
Holy shit.
And basically wiped out a very large portion of the tribe. So there's two sects of my tribe. There's the Bear River Wiyot, and then there's the I feel bad for forgetting right now.
That's okay.
But they're our neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they're both Wiyot, but they're just kind of different reservations, because after that they started trying to ship my people up wherever. Tried to send them to Utah, they came back. Tried to send them to Oregon, they came back. Tried to send them to Southern California, they just kept coming back until I think the 60s or 70s. They started buying our own land back, basically. They started buying the ancestral land back, like an acre at a time. And that
takes a while, actually.
Yeah. So now we've got a pretty sizable reservation in Northern California, which is kind of a reservation that they own. And they bought land out here. And
so they are out here.
For whatever reason it is, my family, especially in my tribe, has migrated to Reno and Carson City. Yeah, so there's a bunch of my family that Reno, Carson City, and but are from Lolita.
So, question about tribal policies between different tribes, so like the Wiyot, the Paiute, the Washoe, everybody around us. From the outside, everybody kind of unifies and thinks that this is going to be like a similar group with similar values. Is that accurate, or is there a lot of infighting going on with?
There is a lot of infighting dependent upon, like in the tribal governments, they will sometimes piggyback off of each other to do. Now it seems to be kind of turning, and they seem to be really helping each other out more. But more often than not, like the line's kind of drawn in the sand pretty clearly. I don't understand why.
Yeah, that
like,
seems
like socially, and like just it seems strange for people to be fighting one another when things have already been so bad.
right.
But it seems to be kind of turning a little bit of a course, and there's a lot of people really looking out for the indigenous people of America as a whole, and Canada, and more like southern Mexico and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of really crazy change happening right now, and my wife is directly in the middle of a lot of it, because she does makeup for a lot of those indigenous fashion shows they're having now that are getting really big. She does all the makeup for those things, and works on a lot of the people that are getting into the TV shows and movies, and she just got published again a couple weeks ago.
Oh, congrats! That's
awesome.
that's amazing.
My wife is a beast.
Yeah, I
She's
would love
really,
to meet
really
her,
good.
actually.
Yeah,
and maybe
she
even
should
have
totally
her.
come on, and she's got a crazy story too.
Yeah, I would love to talk to her. Actually, I was kind of scrolling on your Instagram, and we had a friend that we went to college with at UNR, Lucy, that I think was in one of the
Hedda?
fashion shows. Yeah.
She's gonna be on our nonprofit, I think.
Oh,
Really?
yay! Oh,
That's
that's
badass.
awesome.
Accepted.
Nice.
Yeah, that photo shoot, that one that got them all published recently,
Yeah.
was done in like 25 minutes in my game room of my house.
Really?
It looks like studio quality.
Whoa.
Yeah, they my wife Veronica, who's our other board member, and Lucy, like, they knocked it out in like a half an hour.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that
That's
seems like a big
grassroots right
ordeal.
there. That's
yeah,
cool.
and then got published, which is
So
Crazy.
rad.
Yeah, we're really excited about her joining the nonprofit because she's already done such big stuff on her own.
Yeah. No, that's so awesome. Yeah, I was just looking through and we were like, oh, that's Lucy.
Yeah, that's great that
Yeah.
you guys know her. I had never met her. My wife, I don't even know how my wife got in touch with her, but she got in touch with her and Dad just asked her to come do the shoot and
Yeah.
they handled it. And then my wife took her with her to this big convention called which is a Reservation Economic Summit they do in Vegas every year. But there's a ton of little side things happening around.
That's the best time to do it, I
around
imagine.
the conference. Yeah. So she took Lucy up there, and now Lucy's just tearing it up, doing this thing, walking like she's been modeling for like 10 years.
Forever, yeah.
It's her first time she's ever walked on a runway. It's crazy.
That's so awesome to hear that your nonprofit is growing and really making an impact so far.
That was always the thing I said, if I could put 10% of the energy I put into being a drug addict into anything at all, I know I'll be successful in something.
We're both really interested in hearing more about your story growing up and just overcoming a really powerful addiction story. How did that all start?
Yeah, so let's start from the jump.
Yeah, so like I said, I grew up on that little ranch up until I was 11, I think, 10 or 11. And we ended up having a falling out with my grandmother and then my mom, my dad, me and my brother and sister. I have a younger brother and sister. We all became homeless for a short while. Then we moved the trailer from the ranch to Skyline Mobile Home Park, which is right over there on Virginia Street. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I was still just like a little cowboy kid, and we were homeschooled too, so we weren't in public school, and then that all kind of changed all at once. Jumped into public school, and we're in the trailer park now, and my dad always had addiction issues and alcohol issues, so he was kind of in and out my whole life. Once we hit the trailer park, that was still kind of the old days where kids were outside constantly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then we started doing that, and then I started picking up skateboarding and music. And once that happened, that's all that mattered was skating and playing guitar. But even early on, just growing up in Sun Valley and with my cousins and stuff, we were all experimenting with drugs. I think it was 10. 11, smoking weed, and then my little group of friends started to grow, and we all skated together, but then they all had kind of the same issues. So then we started doing speed and just whatever we could find because we were children.
Mm-hmm. Just like whatever you have access to.
Yeah, at the time I felt.
How do you get access to that when you're a child?
You find it in your parents' garage or your friend's parents' garage. They may have whatever, heroin or meth, and you're just smoking things you're finding. Mm-hmm. You don't even know what it is for sure.
Yeah.
And then you just wait to see what's gonna happen. It's so crazy.
You're guinea pigging it.
Yeah.
So then the parents, like your friends' parents, all were kind of into that stuff then too? Okay.
Yeah, they were all a mess. Huge mess. My mom was one of the only ones that kind of kept it together. My mom didn't have any substance abuse issues once I was born. So she kind of held it down for me and a lot of my friends. Like my mom's house was a safe house. You could go there. If your parents said you can smoke cigarettes, but there's no drinking, no drugs. No one's allowed to be high or drunk. You can sleep, eat, and then go do your thing. Mm-hmm. Which was really cool. I had a supportive mom, and me, my mom, and brother and sister were all really, really tight. Once I did it the first time and I realized, like, holy shit, I don't have to feel, this is what people feel like. I felt like that's how people felt, like normal people felt. Like, this is how they feel. Like, I'm not terrified. I'm not tripping. I'm not nervous. I'm not like, I just felt like myself, which I think is a pretty common thing for a lot of people that have that imbalance in their brain chemically, they do that and they're like, oh shit, I can talk to people. I'm not like, this is it. I found it. And then you kind of run the gamut of all the different things until you find the one that really like puts you right where you feel like you need to be. So by 14, 15, school was not really that important to me. It was very easy for me. I was very fortunate to like be able to understand things quickly, but all I wanted to do was skate and party with my friends and do all that. So I ended up getting kicked out of high school my junior year.
And where did you go?
I went to Reno High my freshman year.
Okay.
Which was awesome. I don't know why they bust us there from the trailer park. Which, it was really strange. The hug was right there, but they would bus us all the way to Reno. Me and the low income kids from Raleigh Heights.
Okay.
And I don't know if it was just like a what was that DEI thing where they're trying to like kind of make sure everybody's mixed up.
Yeah.
So it's not just all kids with Mercedes. There's
Right.
kids that have to walk.
Yeah.
Kids that are taking the bus and they're like, you're from North Valleys, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. But that was awesome. Because Reno High is an awesome school. If I would have stayed there, I would have graduated for sure. But then they built North Valleys. And by the time I was back there, I was fully selling meth. Like I was a full meth dealer.
Damn.
Like 15-ish. Then my sister got in a fist fight with a girl for calling me the F word. And the shop teacher tried to break it up, but then he put my sister in a headlock and picked her up.
What?
Yeah, and she was choking, and I ran up to him. I was like, "Let her go, let her go, let her go." He wouldn't let her go, so I knocked him out.
Oh.
Well, I was hitting him, and then my sister's feet touched the ground, and she thought another kid had her in the headlock, so she started hitting him, and eventually he passes out, has a seizure, big horrible thing. Then they were gonna charge me with assault because I had been in so many fist fights. That was like a big thing for me growing up.
Wow.
Like lots of fights.
Yeah.
Fighting was a big part of my life.
So, why though? Like, what was going on in your childhood where you felt like this violence and this anger? Like, it seemed like you were almost mad at the world.
I was scared. And I was trying to get my dad's attention because my dad was known to be a tough, crazy dude. And a big part of it too was my parents were like, if you're getting bullied and you don't do anything about it, we're going to beat your ass.
Yeah.
Like you don't take shit.
So they wanted you to fight back if anything were to happen.
Yeah. And I think that's necessary. You just have to make sure that you're like communicative with your kids about how far to take that.
Connecting A to B.
Yeah, like, like stand up for yourself and don't let people hurt you. No, like I tell my children, no one's allowed to hurt you. They're not allowed to hurt you, and you shouldn't allow them to hurt you. You don't hurt anybody else though either. You're allowed to keep yourself safe. With me, I would just, because I was so small growing up, I would just fly off the handle and became kind of a problem in middle school, and they considered holding me back because of the fights and in high school. But that was a big part of everybody's life growing up then. It's a little bit different now because kids get charged with assault and stuff. So
yeah, they used to be able to settle it differently. They might, like kick you out of school or something, but now it's like, no, you're going to jail.
Yeah, you're going to jail.
13-year-old sometimes.
And these kids, what else are you supposed to do? If you're getting bullied, you can't go tell anybody because then it's going to be worse.
Yeah.
Right.
Then everyone's going to call you a snitch and bully you.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's good for kids to just have a fist fight. No knives or guns or any of that stuff. Like, just a fist fight is not a bad thing. And more often than not, those dudes you fight end up being your best friends.
Yeah.
My first 2 best friends, I fought at the same time in 6th grade. And we were friends for 15 years after that.
Probably laughed about it all the time. Like,
yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
probably threaten each other with it. Like, hey, being an asshole.
Thinking we were so tough, and I'm sure it was just so silly.
Yeah,
I think in my memory, I was fully like squared up fighting like a man, but oh my gosh, it was probably so ridiculous.
Like small and lengthy kid, just
small
like
noodle
arms,
arm, haymaker,
arms flying.
stumbling around, knees shaking.
That's so funny. I just imagine like a flying squirrel kid just coming after
it was so
each
silly.
other.
But that was a big part of growing up, was just, and being in the neighborhood I grew up in. Like, you couldn't be soft in that neighborhood. There were kids in that neighborhood that came from way worse homes than I did.
Yeah.
That really did just want to hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
So you built up this mindset that you had to protect yourself, and so when you went to public high school
and protect everyone else.
Yeah.
If I saw kids getting bullied, I'd fight someone over that, or girls getting talked to a way I didn't think they should be talked to. Like, it was, and I wouldn't say I was good at it, but I didn't get beat up very often, so that kind of kept that ball rolling.
Mm-hmm.
But once I got kicked out, and obviously I didn't get charged because he also assaulted and choked out a 15-year-old girl.
Yeah.
So my mom was like, well, I'm pressing charges too. They were like, well, maybe we could work something out. So on paper, I moved to Idaho and finished homeschooling until my GED. But really, I just stayed in Reno and got my GED like a month after I got kicked out.
Oh my gosh.
And then I just got a job. I moved out, and that was that. So having your own house as a teenager that's already partying is being the only 16-year-old with his own house.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you said 15, so 16.
Yeah, I was
are
out
on your
16.
own?
Yeah.
How'd you get a house on your own at 16?
I was an independent distribution and sales executive.
A street pharmacist, if you will. Yeah.
Yes.
You made that much money to get your own house?
I made enough to get a trailer.
That's crazy.
And I had a job.
So I feel like we're glazing over. How did you get into selling meth?
It was just around.
Mm-hmm.
It was all over. And in the beginning it was crank, but it was just
What's crank?
around a lot. Crank is it's like methamphetamine. It's just made dirtier, basically. And it kind of came before meth. So like crank was like speed that they messed with until you could smoke it and snort it and all that. And then meth kind of came. I'm not sure what the real difference is because they kind of feel the same. With like crank, you're not doing the cloud grabbing thing and all that, but
Doing karate on the corner.
yeah, those that shit's crazy.
Doing karate on the corner. That's so funny.
What was that one guy who's pop, pop,
Oh yeah, they're down and they're pissed too, and they're just looking for someone to fucking show their moves to, and then they dance off.
Mm-hmm.
They dance off.
That's so funny.
It was that and pills and stuff too, just doing that whole thing and selling weed and
So you were in it.
Yeah.
Like you were the go-to person for that.
Yeah,
what was your mindset at that point? Like, when you thought about your future and you were doing that, what did that look like for you at that age?
I figured I'd make it till I was about 25.
Just based on statistics, or
Yeah, statistics and surroundings and.
So you thought you had only 10 more years?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was pretty sure. And it seemed okay because it was so much. One, it was so much fun,
mm-hmm.
and it wasn't. I was so young that it wasn't at that point where it was like people weren't out trying to kill me, people weren't trying to rob me like crazy. It wasn't at that point yet. That didn't happen until years later, where the real craziness of being an actual drug dealer comes in. I just had my own place, and people wanted to party all the time, so it was not beneficial. But it did afford me the ability to help my mom and help pay for her bills and pay for my own bills and take care of my brother and sister and try my best to keep them out of trouble by kind of bringing them into my trouble. So they weren't allowed to go party with their friends. They had to party at my house because they kind of got into partying young too.
Yeah.
They grew up living completely different lives, but
Are you the oldest of 3?
yeah.
Okay.
And that just kind of excelled, and skateboarding and music was still a huge part of all of that. And when I was 18, I cleaned up and got off of all the meth and stopped dealing and had a girlfriend, and we were trying to settle down and be adults. And
So she was the motivating factor, or
kind of, I was just tired already, and I just kind of wanted a little bit more of a normal life. I started seeing some of my friends fall off, and people were dying already.
This is all pre-fentanyl, right?
Yes. Yeah. Fentanyl wasn't quite a thing yet. That came into my life in my mid-20s. But not the way it is now. It's way different now. So there were no fentanyl pills back then. That wasn't a thing. But and that kind of that worked out for a while. I had a kind of a normal life. Was gonna go. Got accepted into Musicians Institute in LA, and then ended up not going because my mom needed help, and did that kind of thing. And about 26, well, actually going back 16, 17, I was trying to do a trick over this gap into a street, and I had to look out down on the street because I couldn't see the street from where I was at. I end up, my lookout doesn't do a good job. I get hit by a car and got whiplash. I think I just got whiplash. I ended up going to the doctor. The doctor didn't even put their hands on me, didn't check anything, and just said, "Have you ever tried morphine?"
what?
And I was like, no, I had, but no. Okay, well, what about, have you ever tried oxycodone? So they gave me a bunch of morphine, oxycodone, and Xanax for whatever reason.
Just in case you get
Just
anxious.
in
Oh my
case.
gosh.
So they started loading me up with that as a teenager. So I was taking that too this whole time and not even realize, because I thought addiction was a crock of shit at the time.
Really?
In all of my wisdom, I was like, this is
In all of my wisdom.
this is not something that I need to be worried about. So
Yeah.
about 2020, well, I was 21. There was this gnarly home invasion that happened at my house, and woke up to all 5 guys with ski masks on, kicking my door in,
Oh my gosh.
knocked out my roommate's girlfriend. I tried to get my gun. They drugged me out, and stuck a gun in my mouth, and stomped me out for I don't know. Seemed like forever, but
Yeah, time doesn't go very fast when you're getting stomped, I imagine.
no. And they hurt her, and that was the first time anybody. And I was not even living that sort of lifestyle at that point.
Yeah.
It was my roommate kind of was, and it was just some stuff that he had going on, but just that mental switch from, because no one had been able to get me before. People had tried to rob me or whatever, but no one had been able to. But that happening was like, one, getting knocked off a pedestal in like a pride sort of way, but 2, psychologically, it turned my life upside down.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Fully paranoid to the point where I couldn't even barely go outside. So then I just started drinking. And I'd wake up, put a Xanax and a couple morphine in a glass of whiskey, and just do that, and then drink all day. Drank myself down to like 125 pounds.
Damn.
And they had me on a ton of psych meds because I was diagnosed with bipolar 2 and borderline schizophrenia as a teenager. So they had me medicated like crazy. I have tried back then. I think I was on almost every type of
Like psychotropic that they could get their hands on.
Yeah. And I had some crazy reactions to some of them. Like my jaw locked up for several days on one. Went into full psychosis on another one. And then you take that and you add drinking on top of it.
Yeah.
And other substances on top of it. It was just a nightmare. Until I got to a point where my family was like, dude, we can't even be around you.
Wow.
So I locked myself in my house and white-knuckled that. Which at the time, I didn't know that alcohol DTs can kill you.
Mm-hmm. Same with Xanax. Those
Same
two
with
can get you. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the two that can actually physically, whether you seize out or you have a stroke or both. So I did all of those things. I had like 2 or 3 seizures. I was fully hallucinating. It was the worst week of my life.
Gosh.
I came out of it. Things kind of went back to normal for the most part. Just got a job and was doing that whole thing.
And you were off of those.
I got off of all of them.
Yeah. Okay.
And then painkillers came back in at some point. I don't even remember how they did. But I was also getting my prescription for pain medication 4 times a month because the system they tried to set up an automated system at the pharmacy, and something got messed up, and they were giving me all my prescriptions every week.
Oh wow.
So I didn't tell anybody that. I was
Yeah.
Cha-ching. Yeah.
yeah. So that was a crazy summer. I just watched cartoons.
How did that not get? I don't understand how that didn't get regulated. Like, how did they not catch on?
They did eventually.
Yeah.
I did get red flagged for doctor shopping because not only was I getting those, but I was also getting pain meds from another doctor too.
Oh wow.
And
what age are you at this point?
I was 23.
Oh my
I
gosh.
think at this point. That's when fentanyl. That's when I learned about fentanyl, honestly. But it came in the patches.
Mm.
You get fentanyl patches, so I had fentanyl patches all over me and eating them and all that sort of stuff.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. We would break them open and eat the fentanyl out of them.
Wow. So
Oh
you
my
had
gosh.
insane tolerance.
Yeah. For everything, and that was another issue with my substance abuse. With my tolerance was so high for everything.
Mm-hmm.
I could drink all night. I could do this or that all night, all day, and never really fall out like everyone else did. I didn't have enough bad experiences with it for
Yeah. But are you like functioning when you're on all that stuff? Like, how are you? Like, you're talking to people normal and
pretty normal. I mean, I didn't experience the like full like junkie like nod thing until I got into heroin. Yeah, with pills and stuff, you can still get that way, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's a little easier to function.
And when you talk about like the nod, I'm imagining like the people that we see in downtown that are like kind of in their own world. Like they
folded in half.
I think that's got to be a fentanyl thing.
That seems like blues and everything that's floating around.
Really?
Yeah.
Because even having done heroin and having done fentanyl, when you go into those nods like that, you still are like kind of coming to, like, you, for whatever reason, something with that chemical complex makes the human body capable of standing and your lower half working and your upper half just having a nap.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's so strange. And you'll see people that have sat like that for so long that their backs start to become shaped like that.
Yeah,
so then
like
they walk
scoliosis
that way.
almost.
Yeah. We actually saw someone at the homeless shelter that his back was arched, and I remember Grant actually pointing him out and saying that it was because, I think it must have been because of that then.
Yes. And the crazy thing is, a lot of times when those people clean up and they get their life in order, that goes away, which is very
It does go away?
Yes.
That's wild.
Okay, because I feel like I remember Grant saying that it was like a permanent damage.
It can obviously permanently damage your spine and stuff, but I've seen people come out of heavy addiction like that. They were like on a cane fully, and then they're upright.
And then they're back.
Walking.
So when was the moment that you recognized addiction versus just partying?
When I white knuckled, coming off drinking. I thought I was just quitting drinking when I did that, but it was everything. It was the pain medication, it was the benzos, it was the psych meds, and obviously the alcohol. That's when I realized that, oh shit, I have a problem, like for real. But all this time, all this life is happening, normal problems that people have in life, trying to grow and leave the trailer park and not be in that atmosphere, and then just the fun of being in your 20s or you're partying downtown, and like I was like on the, rather than the nicer bar scene, I was a Shays dude with all those other guys, and like the hideout and all that. But
You like the spots where you can duck into a corner and
yeah,
it's nice and dark.
yeah, and you can make a lot of money.
Yep.
Yeah.
That all was, those parts of my life I wouldn't trade at all, because I had some of the most amazing experiences just being out with my friends and doing those types of things that were like a little more wholesome. There's still a bunch of drugs and booze involved, but it's a little more wholesome,
Yeah.
Yeah, just a bump here and there instead of like
a gram every couple hours.
And then nodding.
Yeah.
I don't think you nod with a gram.
Or
Well,
just
could.
drinking. Well, I can't drink unless I do coke. If I can't do coke unless I drink. So
Yeah, it's like this pattern behavior cycle.
yeah, so I saw all this while, my friends are dying, people are dying from addiction and stuff. My brother and sister didn't go down that road like that. Luckily, my brother joined the Air Force and he did that, which was great for him. And my sister just kind of lived a normal life and got married and had some kids. And
Yeah.
why
do you think that is?
They saw me.
Yeah.
They watched what it did.
So they kind of ran from that because of what they experienced with you.
Yeah.
And because you had mentioned that you were looking for attention from your dad, and that was a motivation.
It was a big motivation for, like, if I can be crazy enough, like, then my dad will be like, oh, good job. But it wasn't even ever about that. But in my head, it was like, I just want to be like my dad. He was tough and crazy and had all these cool stories, so I wanted to make a bunch of my own. And I did, and I have a bunch of really hilarious ones and a bunch of gnarly ones, and it didn't do anything for me long term necessarily. But yeah, it was mainly driven through that and just trying to keep up with some of my friends, and growing up out where I grew up on the little ranch, and being homeschooled and stuff. Like when I went into like what it was like to be with other kids and everything, I was just full bore like into whatever it was, and I was confused as hell, trying to figure out who I was. But then I found punk rock, and that was that. Well, all of these things kind of bring me to this point in my life where I'm kind of teetering. I'm like functioning, but kind of teetering. And then my son's mother at the time we were dating, she gets pregnant. And then it was like, okay, now it's time to stop everything. And that's when I was 25 or 6, I think. But that went bad, and she didn't want me to be around him. And then there was this horrible custody battle. I didn't get to see him, and that, of course, didn't help.
Yeah, that adds a lot onto your plate. A lot of pain, a lot of frustration, I'm sure.
And I'm struggling to try to get some custody or some visitation or something. And it was really interesting. I had to go after myself for child support in order to force her to do the DNA test, for them to subpoena her to do the DNA test to prove he was my son so I can open a custody case.
Oh my gosh.
Because when she went into labor, they didn't tell me. And then so I wasn't on the birth certificate. He doesn't have my last name. They said that day if I came down to the hospital where she was giving birth, they were, because I was calling, I had heard that she was giving birth. So I called and I say, hey, where are you guys at? I'm going to come down there. And they're like, oh, no, you can't come down here. And I was like, well, what hospital are you at? They're like, you can't come down here. And I was like, but there's only 2 hospitals in town. I'll find you guys.
Born. Yeah.
And they were like, well, she already gave birth. He doesn't have your last name. Your name's not on the birth certificate.
Who's telling you this?
Her father.
Oh, wow.
If you come down here, we're going to call the cops and tell them you're trying to steal a baby. I didn't know at the time that the last name and birth certificate thing happens way later. It doesn't happen right when they're born. I didn't know this, so I was like, well, shit, I guess I don't want to go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a constant fight just to try to see him. And eventually, after some years of that, I had an attorney tell me, look, you're not going to get custody, dude. You should just let them have rights. And at the time, my life was kind of shaky and everything anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard custody case if that's what you're presenting.
Because I had gone to rehab before that. And a big reason was because I was like, okay, I'm going to really do this. That way I can come out and I'll be able to get my son.
Mm-hmm.
And rehab taught me a lot about myself, and they cracked me, which is really important for someone like me. I was like, I'm just going to go. I don't need the fucking therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. I just need the time away from everything.
Mm-hmm.
I needed the therapy.
Yeah.
Really bad.
Address the underlying why rather than just the substances.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot at it was at Michael's house in Palm Springs. And they were amazing.
How long did you do in rehab? Was it 30 days, 60, 90?
I did 45.
45.
And then came back home and...
Can I ask what you learned, like, through therapy?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I learned, one, that I have a different chemical balance. I have a different chemical makeup in my brain than a lot of people. I learned that my childhood was not safe. It was not healthy. It was not being a guardian for my brother and sister as a child was not good for me. I learned that I'm ultra sensitive to everything, whether it's on like the one end of like loving something so much and supporting something so much to like the anger and the violence and everything. It's just it's sort of I have an extremist issue, which can be really positive, but I wasn't using it in a positive way.
Yeah, it wasn't directed where it should
I was
be.
trying to support my family, my mom, my brother and sister, but the entire time I'm completely fucked off and not caring for myself at all. And just learning to communicate those things, being able to say it out loud, like, no, I'm scared, or no, I'm sad.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was never a fucking issue. That was never a choice when I was a kid. Like, you're a boy, you don't get sad.
And did that come from your parents or just from the kids around you?
My
Like,
parents, the kids around me, all of those kids that kind of grew up that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
Can't show any sign of weakness.
no, quit your bitching. You know, at least we have food this week.
Yeah.
You know? It could be worse. Like, well, it could be a lot fucking better too.
That is one of the mentalities a lot of people are used to, is it could be worse. It doesn't address whatever problem's in front of you.
No,
It
and
just minimizes what you're dealing with so it doesn't feel as bad.
exactly, and that's one of the biggest things I took away from rehab is really addressing what's actually going on. Like, there's how you feel, and then there's the reality of it. And that was huge for me, like huge. And at that point, I was like, I want to help these people. I want to help people like me.
Mm-hmm.
So I came out of rehab like gung ho and ready to do the damn thing, and did really well for 3 years or so. And then I dislocated my patella at the Nugget. I was just out with my family, my mom, my brother and sister. went in this bathroom. These guys started talking shit, and then I fought them in this bathroom. And when I went to run,
Oh, no.
and I was completely sober too. Some guy face pushed me, and I was like, I'm gonna knock your ass out. And then I hit him, and he didn't even. He was a big guy. He was a really big guy. I hit him, and he just like flinched and stared at me, and I was like, oh shit.
Uh-oh.
And then his smaller friend ran around him, so I hit him, and he fell, and I was like, ha! And then I ran.
And you scurried off.
But on the way out, they grabbed my shirt and hit me with a bottle.
fuck.
And I fell out into the casino and twisted my knee and dislocated my patella. I think it was on this leg. And my kneecap was over here.
Oh, gosh.
I jumped up and ran, and my mom sees me coming, and she has experienced these things with my father. So she grabs my brother-in-law's shirt and his hat and takes it off of him. I take my shirt off. We switch clothes because sit down in security and the cops were looking for me. But by the end of the night, when we were leaving, those guys were getting arrested because I think they were just going around.
Yeah, they were just being drunk assholes.
Pretty normal thing. So then they gave me pain medication for my knee, and I didn't take it. I didn't want to take it.
Mm-hmm.
And my girlfriend at the time was like, I think you're good. You're solid. Like, your knee is fucked up, dude. Take the medication. And I was like, if I take one today, I'm taking 6 tomorrow. And then that's that. But then I was like, you know what? Maybe I am okay. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I took one that day, and the next morning I was taking 6, 7 at a time. And then it was at that point, around that same time, kind of, that attorney gave me that advice that I wasn't going to get my son. And at the time, my girlfriend and I were kind of having a rocky zone. And then I was back on pain medication.
It's a perfect storm.
Yeah, back on opioids. And at the time, I was doing live audio. So I was doing the live audio for bands that were coming into town.
What does live audio mean?
So like I would set up the gear. I would run the soundboards and stuff.
That's cool.
I worked PA. I did it at Cargo.
Nice.
Oh, that's really cool.
I loved that job so
You get to see
much.
shows all the time too, right?
See shows all the time. Get to see bands I love. Get to meet people I love.
Wow.
I got to go have breakfast with Billy Bob Thornton because his band came and played.
That's badass.
Super cool dude.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Is he like what I expect him to be like?
He's super cool, super normal. You'd think he'd be kind of like really weird with some of the stuff you saw early on with like the Angelina Jolie stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's super normal.
What'd you guys talk about?
I think we talked about baseball.
Nice.
Yeah, it was me, him, and some other guys I worked with. We got done tearing down because by the time you tear everybody down and get the trailers loaded up, it's like 2, 3 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was like, "Hey, you guys want to get breakfast?"
Oh
So we went to the Sienna, and yeah, it was cool. I got to skate with Hobson in the back alley.
Oh shit, that's cool.
That was cool. Got to meet a bunch of hardcore and metal bands that I love.
What was your favorite?
My favorite was Make Them Suffer from Australia. Those guys are so dope.
What
And
about
Parkway
them?
Drive.
Mm.
They're just heavy.
I feel like also hanging out and partying with Australians is a different.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy. And I'm sure it's okay to say it. So the Blues Traveler played there too.
Oh, okay.
And one of the members of Blues Traveler had a pretty severe issue with a certain substance. And I had just kind of started dabbling in that particular substance. So one of my jobs at the venue I was working at was to go and grab things for bands that needed them.
You were part of the writer.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Wow.
I went with him, and then after we got back to the venue, he was having a nap in the cab from whatever I got for him. And then I snuck back in the venue because I was like, oh shit, he's not going to be able to play. Oh my God. He was 20 minutes late to the stage.
Oh no.
Got up there and played the instruments he was playing. I'm trying to be nondescript.
I gotcha.
Played the instruments that he plays better than I It was insane.
Like went full
Really?
Hendrix.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So when he woke up, was he still like in that, like on that drug?
Oh, for sure. But the second he stepped on stage, completely different guy.
Wow.
It was really impressive and really, and now that guy is doing really well.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He's very healthy. He lost all that weight. He's it's an awesome success story. But, and I worked at Noble Pie downtown.
I love Noble Pie.
I worked the swing graveyard shift on the weekends, Friday, Saturday nights.
Dealing with drunk college students being annoying as fuck.
Yeah, just a constant party in the dining room and in the kitchen. It was
I'm
awesome.
sure. Yeah.
Especially
You probably
back
have
in
seen
those
us
days.
there at one
Oh,
point.
I'm sure. Well, I mean, we had gotten full blown brawls and fist fights in the dining room with customers and stuff. And then they like waiting for us after we close in the alley to stab us. And
Jesus.
Oh.
yeah, it was. That was just kind of like how we all lived, though.
Yeah.
Like, and my wife is well known around this town for being it's not really what is it politically correct now, but everyone called her Indian Emily.
Oh.
And her thing was beating up dudes. Yeah.
That is kind of a cool title. I'm not gonna lie.
I would hear stories about her way before I ever even met her.
She was beating up dudes?
Yes.
Does she know like jujitsu, or she just
she
an animal?
She boxed a little bit when she was younger.
Okay.
Has a really good hook and a jab.
Yeah, I was about
Yeah.
to say, like, does she just have this like
And-
fire in
yeah,
her?
Yeah, she's tough as shit. And I would hear, and she's so pretty.
Yeah,
So, like-
she's beautiful. Oh my gosh, I
Yeah,
can't
She's
like.
got good defense too.
Yeah, well, she clearly hasn't. She clearly hasn't been hit. Yeah.
So I would hear stories about her way before I met her. So once I did like start talking to her for real, I was like, oh shit, it's that girl. Oh my god,
She's gonna beat me up.
I want her to beat me up. I'll
So
take it.
funny.
But around that time, things just started to go kind of south. And then me and my girlfriend split up because I had the pill thing dried up in Reno. That's when the arrest happened with Dr. Rand.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys remember all of that?
So I heard briefly about it. Do you know about it?
No,
Can you give us a synopsis?
So at one point here in Reno, Percocet 30s became a thing. And there was he was not the only doctor doing it. He was just the only doctor that got caught. They were overprescribing Roxaset 30s, which are the ones you can crush up and snort or smoke or shoot or all of that. And they were overprescribing them by like giving people a prescription of $340 a month on top of morphine and
Damn.
and selling prescription pads to patients. And
Yeah, they're basically pill milling.
yes,
Like
it
hardcore.
was a pill mill for sure. And I mean, he was a great doctor.
Nobody was in pain at his clinic.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. He was a pretty good doctor. But I don't know how he got wrapped up in it, but there was some other, I know a lot about what kind of happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the statute of limitations is on
In
everything.
that case,
So I know that
Got
he got caught. So when he got caught, that was around the whole time the country was kind of trying to tighten up on the pills because it was happening in Florida really bad, the pill mills.
So what year is this?
This is, oh geez, I don't even know. I was 25, 26-ish.
Okay.
Something like
And
that.
how old are you now?
I'm 38 now.
I want to say it started in the 2000s.
Yeah, so it'd be early
And then
2000s.
Wrapped up somewhat recently.
Yeah.
Like they probably tightened
Wow.
up shop in the last decade.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I would say probably 10, 12 years ago is when they tried to tighten it all up, which made everything way worse. Because then everyone's getting all these pills, and these pills are very cheap. And then they are very, very expensive, and there's not that many of them. So people are fully addicted. And the difference with opioids is when you try to get off of them, it's not just like, oh man, I wish I could get high. It's a full physical emotional and mental
Detox.
detox. And you know you're not going to die, but you feel like you might. And you have this little voice in the back of your head saying, we can fix this. I know how to fix this. You don't have to feel this way. Fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it.
Wow.
So that's kind of how things escalate, is because, and you're like, okay, if I can just feel good enough for a bit, I can get back to work. I can do this, I can do that. But it's full, you're sweating and freezing to death. You're throwing up.
Why does that happen?
It's just something about the way that the opioid attaches to that particular receptor in your brain. When it starts to come off of that receptor, the receptor itself goes into shock. So it starts chemically in your brain and then sends the flu through your entire body. Thinking that I think it tricks the receptor into thinking there's something really wrong, when really it's just your body trying to clean itself out. It's a crazy. Opioid withdrawals are not as bad as alcohol, but they are really, 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 really hard. So that hurdle alone for people is almost impossible to get over.
How did you get over it then?
The first time I white-knuckled it because I didn't want to lose my family. And then this time, when I found out that I wasn't going to get my son, when all the pills dried up, everyone started doing heroin. I started doing heroin, but I was just smoking heroin, and then started shooting heroin. And once you start using a needle, it's basically a wrap. Lost my girlfriend, knew I wasn't going to have my son, and then I was just like, well, then what am I even fucking doing here? I had already nearly died several times in my life coming up to that point. So I was like, fuck it, let's just go. I wasn't trying to take my life, but I wasn't trying to preserve it.
Yeah.
You know? And that's when my family needed to finally push me away. I was kind of still there. I ended up at my mom's house. And one night I was with this like 22-year-old girl in my parents' house. And she got some heroin from some guy. And that's right when the fentanyl thing was started happening. So I shot this heroin and fucking full overdose like that. I had semi-overdosed before on actual heroin, and it's much slower. You you have a second to be like, oh shit, help.
What is that feeling?
Yeah, what do you do when that happens, and what is that feeling?
So when you're using intravenously, you get a rush first. It hits your heart, and and the only thing I can compare it to is for people that are Christian or believe in God, that feeling that you get is what it would be like to kiss Jesus on the lips. It's really, really insane. So you get that rush, and then once you get that rush and the rush doesn't really go away, you're like, whoa, this is heavy. And then you feel everything start shutting down. And everything starts, and you lose control of like your body, and you start slumping over, and you're like, so you can at least notify somebody that you're overdosing. And then they can do, if they're good enough people, a lot of times people just get left. They'll be like, oh shit, and they run off.
Yeah, because they're worried about getting arrested or having a dead body on their hands.
Yeah,
which is
so
fucked up.
It is really horrible. I always stuck around when people would overdose because I'm not going to let somebody die. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Is this in the days where Narcan was like readily available?
It had just become readily available. It was right when the needle exchange was kind of had their game on, and you could go get clean needles and clean cookers and all of the things you need, which is such a double-edged sword. It's a tough thing to grapple with. Like, do we give them clean needles and things to continue doing these drugs? Or do we let them die of HIV and hepatitis? And I'm all for the needle exchange, and they also offer drug testing kits, and it is helping not spread very, very dangerous diseases at the very least. But I have this overdose and I'm out like that. Fentanyl is, I don't think a lot of the stories in the news are true about people touching it and dying.
Yeah.
But it is incredibly strong and short-lived. But I was already completely unresponsive. She had to go get my parents, and my dad, who had just gotten sober that last year, had gotten sober, had come back and was doing it, is now giving his oldest son CPR on the floor. I'm completely blue. My heart's barely beating. I'm not breathing. By the time paramedics came, it was close. By the time they got me in, then my heart stopped. So I had to get defibrillated, had to get a ventilator. And then I woke up in the ambulance and I was like, what happened? They were like, you had an overdose. And I was like, what? Where? They're like, in Sun Valley. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I just started crying because I was like, oh, shit, I just did that to my parents. Because I asked them, I was like, who saved me? They're like, your dad. I'm like, oh, my God. So that happened. Then I got out of the hospital the next day, overdosed again on the same heroin.
So there was fentanyl in it. That's why you're overdosing, or why are you overdosing?
It was because there was a ton of fentanyl in it.
And you went
I went
back.
back and did it again because that's just the nature of it. I can't
Yeah.
really explain it. And the girl I was with, that same girl, nasal Narcan me, and I came out of that one, and that was horrible. That was completely horrible. Woke up, I came to and just immediately projectile vomited, and was just, because when the Narcan, once it goes in your system, it runs up to those opioid receptors and kicks the opioids off right away. So it's immediate withdrawals. And you can't do more heroin to make the withdrawal go away because now the Narcan has coated the receptor and it will block any opioid from getting to it.
Is that why people get really upset when they get Narcan?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it takes away their high. When I overdosed my parents' house, I didn't have that effect. That particular batch of heroin was so strong with fentanyl in it that it took a vial and a half of Narcan, and I was still nodding out in the hospital.
Damn.
Yeah. So at that point,
Where was this girl during the whole time? Did she stick around?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she went and grabbed my parents.
Okay.
It was just a really awful scene to find me running around with some 21, 22-year-old
How old
girl.
were you at the time?
I was 28, I think. About 28. And then I obviously end up homeless in Reno because my parents are like, dude, we can't do this shit with you anymore. You're gonna die and we can't watch you do it. Then a bunch of stuff. I am running around Reno trying to be homeless here and doing all the same things, but Reno is a very different place to be homeless in. It's hard to be homeless here.
Yeah. What time of year was it?
It was either spring or fall.
So it wasn't like snow on the ground where
No
people
snow
are freezing
yet.
to death yet.
No snow yet. And then I decided I want to try to clean up. So my mom and dad helped me find a rehab in San Francisco that was actually native owned and ran.
Oh, interesting. What is that one called?
It's called Friendship House.
Friendship House. Okay.
So my tribe paid for me to go there.
Oh, really?
$6 or $7 grand. Yeah, they pay
Wow.
up. They pay up front. So my parents drove me to San Francisco, and the downside to that is it's not medication assisted.
Mhm.
So you got to white knuckle your withdrawals, which is tough. Is really, really, really horrible.
How much of a bummer is that car ride? Because that's like a 4-hour ride going to rehab.
It's actually
Is it exciting?
oddly cathartic.
Okay.
My parents are excited that I'm going to rehab. I'm excited that my life is going to be better. Obviously, all those things that have happened,
Mm-hmm.
and there's that still. But with my family and the way my family is, it's not strange to see somebody struggling. It is strange to see somebody doing something about it. No one else in my family went to rehab. They either just stayed the way they were and died or stayed the way they were until it took them, or cleaned up like my dad finally did, which I'm very, very proud of him. He's an awesome grandpa, an awesome person. So that car ride is oddly positive.
Good.
Hopeful.
Yeah.
I get to the rehab, things are good. I have a massive abscess on my wrist from missing. When you shoot drugs and you miss, the drugs get under the layers of skin and then it abscesses. And
Yeah, my buddy, his bicep is atrophied because he missed, and his arms are different sizes from it.
Yeah, I almost lost my hand
from
it. So had to go get it drained. And I love San Francisco, so I was happy to go to rehab in San Francisco. I was like, fuck yeah, I fucking love that city so much. And there was a day after I had gotten my wrist drained, I had to go get my antibiotics. So they sent me out to go get the antibiotics. They were like, just take someone that's been here for a month and you guys go, which was really strange in the first place. Usually when you're in rehab, you're monitored.
Yeah, I was about to say.
You have to be monitored.
Right.
Like someone else should have gotten your antibiotics.
Yes, for sure. But they sent me. I grab a kid that said he'd been there for a month. We go. As soon as we get a block away, he's like, okay, I'm going to go buy some crack.
That was fast.
And then he splits and leaves me. So then I'm trying to find this pharmacy.
Oh, no.
And I found it finally, got my prescription, went back. I was 15 minutes late, and they wouldn't let me in.
Fuck.
They were like, you're late, and the kid you went with hasn't been here for a month, and he's already gotten in trouble for some other thing. And I said, okay, but what does that have to do with me? That's not my fault.
Right.
And they were like, well, you're going to have to come back tomorrow and talk to your counselor. I was like, where do I go? They were like, I was like, I'm not from here. I don't have friends, family here. They were like, come back tomorrow. So they gave me my sweater and 2 packs of cigarettes.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. So then I was, at that point, I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing this tonight. It was so scary. I've been to San Francisco as a tourist.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I went to the wharf and spent money, went saw a show, but I've never been in San Francisco. Homeless at night.
Yeah.
And freshly still like having withdrawals kind of. I think I was on like day 5 or 6. So I still feel like shit.
Probably feel super vulnerable on top of that. Like, from a health side, and then on top of it, just
paranoid,
mentally, emotionally.
Yeah.
So what was it like? Yeah, tell us about that night.
I just walked. I didn't interact with people. I just walked. And all the way until that next day. I didn't even sleep. So I go back and they said, oh, well, your counselor's not here. Come back tomorrow.
What the fuck? Ugh.
Yeah. So then at that point I had
This seems very unethical.
Well, it's funny, something I found out a few years later about this. I started meeting a few people walking around, and I met this guy that was like, okay, here, dude, just stick with me. I mean, he was a real bad junkie, but he was like, I'll show you how to stay safe and where not to try to sleep, because you can't just sleep anywhere in the city. Mm-hmm. You will get robbed. You will get killed. So I went back to this place every day for 5 days. And every day they told me to come back. And then finally, I think on the 5th or 6th day, I came back and they were like, look, we're not letting you in. I don't know why you keep trying to come. We're not letting you in. And the first day that they kicked me out, the very first day, they called my parents and said that I left and never came back.
Are you kidding me?
No. And then I told them, I was like, okay, well, give me my shit. I want my clothes. There's some money in those clothes. I want the rest of my cigarettes.
Yeah.
Fucking
need your fuel.
$15, and at the time cigarettes were $13 or $14 a pack in San Francisco.
That's crazy. Yeah, the Bay Area prices are insane.
Oh my god. So, and they were like, what stuff? What shit? We gave you your stuff. I said, you gave me my sweater and 2 packs. Where's my shit? They were like, you don't have anything. So I was homeless in San Francisco at that point. Tried to call my parents, and they were pissed. I didn't know that facility had told them that I left, though.
Mm.
So at that point, I made it another day clean, and then got high, and did that for 2 years. I was out there.
Wow. It's a gnarly place to be.
It was really strange. So I ended up getting my hands on a guitar.
Mhm.
And that's how I made money. I'd play guitar and sing in the BART station and make some money and go get some dope, go get cigarettes, food, sometimes food, more often the other.
Yeah. The other stuff that actually keeps you going.
Yeah. But I wasn't affecting anybody, finally. I was just surviving on a day-to-day basis. For me, I wasn't hurting anyone. I wasn't a burden on anyone. And as a young punk rock kid, all I ever wanted to do was hop trains and travel around and play music.
Mm.
So I did that. I traveled up and down the Bay Area and played music, and but it was also, aside from that, like sort of really, I don't know, helpful experience of just being on my own for me. My whole life I had tried to take care of my brother and sister, or my mom, or a girlfriend, or a friend, or at that point I was just me. And obviously I'm in such a bad place. I'm like, my son's better off without me around him anyway. And aside from those things, yes, it was horrifyingly scary. There's a lot of death that isn't on the news. That's for certain.
Oh yeah, no, they're not covering the reality of what's going on in San Francisco. I used to work there in the city, and I was commuting because at the time I was living in the East Bay area. That's where I'm from.
Okay.
And I would drive to BART in Walnut Creek, get on BART, and then go to the financial district.
Walnut Creek is where I would go sleep sometimes because it was kind of quiet.
Yeah, a lot safer, I would say. But yeah, when I was there, I mean, the financial district was flooded with homeless people.
Yep.
Like, really bad. Like, people were just whipping out their dick and peeing right in front of you, shitting in the Starbucks. Like, it was not safe.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was really
You
crazy.
see people getting jumped all the time. I mean, the whole time I was there, I got in so many fights, and I was being chased. And,
yeah. Did you make friends with other people?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And where are they from? Like, where is everyone from San Francisco, or is everyone
There's a lot of
migrating?
The sad thing is a lot of the homeless youth and 20s, early 30s, you see out there are people from good families.
Really?
That will be homeless for a week, and then when it gets cold, because it gets cold as shit in San Francisco sometimes. When it gets real cold, they won't be there, and then they pop back up clean.
They're doing like a homeless
With some money.
experiment. More
Yeah,
so.
like what is
They go
that?
home and get money from their family, their parents, clean up, sleep while it's cold out, and then come back out and do the junkie thing. Then there's other people that are just travelers that travel around, punk rock kids, crust punk, anarcho kids, and so yeah, I made a bunch of friends and people that I saw every day, and people that did look out for me and I looked out for them. It's like a strange community. It's like a weird little community that you build every day in, day out with these people.
Yeah.
The guy that showed me the ropes on one where the drugs were, where to sleep, where not to sleep. So my thing was, one night I tried to sleep in the city at night. I got robbed. So from that point, I would stay awake all night, walk around. The BART would start running at 4, 5. I'd hop the toll on the BART and sleep on the BART for 4 hours, and then ride the BART up and down and go shoplift stuff, bring it back to the city, sell it to the fences, get some money, get my stuff, go down, get high, play guitar for a couple hours, make more money. And I did that every day for a couple years.
Wow.
But the guy that showed me the ropes, I saw him get shot point blank in the middle of the day, in the middle of the park, and over nothing.
Wow. And he died?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was like 1 in the afternoon. Guy just walks up and
Broad day.
point blank to the
Yeah.
chest, and over some silly stuff that didn't even involve him.
Did you experience something like that before with friends, or was that the first
yeah.
time you experienced?
No, I had experienced a lot of things like that. Whether it was people trying to take my life or me seeing other people's lives being taken. I've seen a lot of death in my life, a lot of violence and a lot of sadness.
I have a question about that. So you've OD'd a couple times. You've seen a lot of death. What does that feel like? Like, where does your brain go when the lights go off, when the body stops? Where do you go?
So the big overdose I had, I was in a field with all these yellow flowers, and my mom was there in like a white dress, and I was approaching her to talk to her, and then is when I woke up in the hospital. So something very similar happened later on after all the homelessness, because I eventually, after my friend died and I overdosed on the beach real bad, my cousin had a room for me on the reservation. So I went up to the res to try to clean up. And going up there and white-knuckling it again, and by white-knuckling it, I mean getting clean with no like Suboxone or anything to help you wean off of anything, just going for it. Because I mean I had blown out up most of the veins in my arms, and I was shooting in my neck, and just it, and I had become wildly addicted to crack down
Is that
there.
how you like leveled yourself out?
Yeah, you just kind of get the right combination going, you know. It's just like drinking and doing coke, and then or drinking and doing Molly, and then take part of a Valium, and then you're like, okay, I'm right there. Fuck yeah, I'm right there. Let's go.
I'm at the level I want to be for the
Yeah.
next 10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So you create these little cocktails that get you where you need to be, and I went up there and cleaned up, and everything was going really well. I started working for the tribe a little bit, and my cousin was gracious enough to help me out when she had all of her own issues that she was dealing with. So I clean up, and I want to go see my family that I have not seen, and it had been years. So these girls drive up to pick me up, take me back to Reno. I didn't know what they had been up to. I thought they just were being cool. Get in the car, we start driving, find out these girls are actively high as hell on meth, and that's how they made it through the night. And there's a 4-year-old kid with them.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, I'm going to drive because you guys are fucked off. I just get back to Reno, see my family, and then I'll come back. It had been raining for weeks up there. And in Northern California, those roads up there, there's no guardrails on any of those roads, and they're all windy, mountainous, crazy, tiny lane. Someone came around the corner and was in the middle of both lanes, and when I swerved away from them, we hit a big patch of mud, spun out, and went off the edge of the cliff.
Oh my God.
Into this canyon near Trinity Lake, and just started flipping down. Excuse me.
You chilling?
Started flipping down into the canyon, and I didn't have my seatbelt on. So I'm up, bent the steering wheel in half with my face, back up, back down, back up, back down. And then we hit a tree, and it ripped the driver's door off of the car, or the SUV. Flips a few more times, and then I got shot out. And when I got shot out, the SUV rolls down and catches up to me as we're both kind of, me and the SUV are bouncing and rolling down the hill.
Jesus.
And I'm very aware of everything because I'm clean and sober. So like my senses are very, very acute. So it's like lights out when I hit the ground real hard, and then I come back to and see daylight, flip, and then I could hear the car getting closer. I could hear it go, and then when I came to, it was right there, and it rolled over me, and I kind of got tangled up in it. and it rolled into a couple trees, and it basically bent me in half backwards against these trees, and then pushed me into the mud, and then it carried on down the hill and ended up stopping on this big stump right before it would have fallen into a river. So the girls and the young boy in the car were all okay. Completely okay. I think the girl that came up and got me got hit in the head with a DVD player that was in the car, and that's all that really happened.
Were they in the car still as it was rolling down?
Yeah. Yeah, they were all buckled in as it's flipping. When I got shot out backwards, and she actually grabbed my sweater and tried to hold me in. But just the centrifugal force of it all, I just got basically sucked out. And
Oh my
the
God.
grade in the canyon was so steep that when I flew out, I was like out and then down.
You have 9 lives. That's
it's pretty ridiculous.
that is so.
I have a ridiculous question about this. Do you fuck with roller coasters after that?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Well, I tried to. I might be able to now. Might be a little bit different. But I tried to at Six Flags, and it hurt like hell too. But that was like barely a year or 2 years after the accident.
Yeah.
They found me, the girls did. And luckily, when we went off the edge, there was a guy behind us, and he called 911 right away.
Wow.
So Care Flight shows up. They find me, and my right heel is under the back of my head. And
Damn.
I'm just I'm drowning because my head is cocked back and it's raining really hard. So all the water's just running down my nose and I can't move. So they pull the tree limbs and stuff off of me. And she's like, I'm going to move your leg. And she pulled my leg straight. And my leg was, because this femur had 12 breaks in it. So my leg was basically folded. So she pulled it out from under me, which was so gnarly.
Yeah, I bet that sends you into shock if you weren't already.
Oh my God. So then once I was kind of flat, I was trying to get up. I was grabbing the tree and lifting myself up, and every time I did, blood was just shooting out of my head because I had a softball-sized hole in my skull.
Fuck.
You can.
I would love to see it. Yeah.
Actually. Oops. Excuse me. This should be all around here.
So did they throw a plate over it?
Yeah, I have a steel plate in there.
Wow.
And she wrapped her sweater around my head, cinched it, and sat down on my chest while we waited for Care Flight. And I just laid there in the most intense pain. It was so insane the amount of pain I was in.
Oh yeah. Worse than detoxing?
Oh yeah. It was. I can't even explain what it felt like. It was so intense and so overwhelming that I would try to scream, but screaming hurt. So I was just laying there and I was still kind of joking around with the girls, and we were like talking while we were waiting. Because I was like, I can't feel my legs, and I'm worried that I don't know what I lost. So I will give each of you $50 if you can go out into the woods and find my reproductive organs, because I think they might have got cut off.
No way.
And because I was still it was scary and I was hurt, but I was still what do you do in that situation? But I do that in every awkward situation. I make some fucking terrible joke that makes everyone uncomfortable.
Yeah, this one.
That is how I cope.
And it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's for me.
So that's I think that's a very well, it makes sense that it's a male-oriented thing. When you get really fucked up and something terrible happens to your lower body, my stepdad got gored by a buffalo, and they had to lifeline him out. He worked on a buffalo ranch.
Oh. I'm like, how the hell does that
I know,
happen?
yeah.
Being an asshole in Yosemite, just pissing people off, or Yellowstone. But he got care flighted out, and that was the first question he asked the guys was like, does my dick still work?
Am I good?
Is it there? And they're like, yes,
They're
you're
like,
okay.
that does not matter
Like,
right now.
Yeah.
But it certainly does.
But it does matter.
But it does matter a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. I mean, because if it's gone, just take me. Let me go with it.
That's just like a male thing. Like if you lose.
Who needs legs?
Yeah, right? Yeah, just give me a torso and I'll figure the rest. I'll figure
Call me tripod. That's it.
A tripod.
And the thing is, like, none of us are endowed enough for it to even be that impressive, but we're so scared of it being taken away.
Yeah.
The one thing I can hold on to.
It's the one thing that makes you man.
So
There's more to it, but yeah.
Yeah. So Care Flight gets there, and because it takes them a while to get down the hill because it's all rocks and it's a pretty steep canyon. So they get down there. By the time they get there, I'm still in all this crazy pain. They roll me onto the gurney, but they left one of the buckles still buckled in the middle, and those buckles are like that thick. The buckles are huge that they buckle you down to the flat board with. And so they rolled me on it, and I was bent on the buckle, and I was like, my back. They were like, you're gonna be in a little pain, and I was like, no, motherfucker, my back. And oh boy. So they roll me back off.
Were you able to communicate with them about it? Okay.
Yeah, I was talking normally and everything. They roll me off, fix the buckle, roll me back on, and when they rolled me back on, I felt all the pain leave my body. It was gone. And then I started feeling my body cooling.
Uh-oh.
And I looked at the girls I was with, and I was like, I'm dying. She was like, no, don't say that, don't say that. I said, I can feel it. I feel my spirit or my whatever, my soul, like whatever it is, I feel it leaving. And then I was out. So what had happened was I did die. I bled out. And in Care Flight, defibrillation, ventilator again, I ended up getting 9 transfusions. So like an entire oil change, which is
Full body flush.
I needed it.
Wow.
There was probably some blown gaskets and who knows what floating around in that fucking thing. So 9 transfusions. I had broke my right femur in a dozen spots. I powdered my pelvis all the way across. I broke both of my hips. I broke every one of my ribs. I ruptured my spleen, crushed my heart, my left lung, and crushed my skull 9 inches across my head. And I almost got my arm cut off.
Oh my gosh.
You're remarkably mobile for all of that happening.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Very fortunate.
What's the magic?
They did a great job on surgeries, I think. And just bullheaded tenacity, I think is the way to do it. Because in the hospital, I had really bad frontal lobe damage because my brain was exposed for a pretty intense amount of time, and just the trauma. Because the car, when it first rolled over me, the frame of the car is what rolled over my head. But it was so muddy out, and it had been raining so much that instead of it just pancaking my skull, I kind of squished into the earth.
So you took some of that impact instead of all of it.
And then I got wrapped in the car, so when it rolled over, it flipped me over with it. And so every time I woke up, it was brand new. And my most recent memory when I would wake up was actually 3 years prior. So when I wake up, I thought I was asking for my ex-girlfriend that I hadn't been with in years. And I was like, why am I alone? They'd have to come in and tell me what happened. I'd fall asleep, wake up, and it was like that again. They'd have to come in and tell me what happened for the first few days. I was on life support for a day, ICU for 2 days. And then that, like, waking up, I started to kind of realize what had happened. I started remembering, but it's just part of frontal lobe damage. Your short-term memory gets shot.
But that's interesting. You went back 3 years. Like, I wonder what why that happens.
I don't know.
Was that just a pivotal moment?
Button about 30,000 times falling.
Right, but why 3 years? Like, why not
Very
2
odd
years?
that was my like, last.
The window.
Yeah, it was really strange. But in that, when everything went black, it was kind of the same thing. I was in a field, and my mom was on the other side of it, and I think maybe my dad or my grandpa, I can't remember now. But I was approaching them, and then when I kind of woke up, kind of in and out, waking up between surgeries because they had to do all those surgeries like right away. So I got a titanium rod in my femur, My pelvis is wrapped in a steel cage. My hips have some, I can't remember what they did to my hips exactly. 11-inch bolt through my tailbone holding my pelvis up. A stainless steel cord suspending my pelvis going down to the back of my knee. I have a plate in my skull, and then they discharged me 6 days later.
After doing all that?
Yeah. My parents came up and got me, and they were like, "You're going to be in a wheelchair for at bare minimum a year and a half, then on a walker, and then hopefully you can be on a cane, but you're never going to walk again. You're never going to run, jump, karate kick, any of that. No skateboarding, no nothing. Basically, your life is very different now, and we don't know how bad the brain damage is, and we'll have to give it time. 6 months minimum usually for frontal lobe damage." And then I went home. But at that time, while I was in the hospital, I got a message on Facebook from this girl, and it was Indian Emily.
She's like, I'm gonna kick your ass
Yeah,
if you
I'm
die.
gonna come beat the shit out of you, dude.
Yeah.
She was actually in the hospital also, and had just randomly saw that I was in the hospital, and we had met years before. I was getting tattooed at Dixie Rose, and she actually managed that shop with the owner.
Oh.
And she had come in while I was getting tattooed, and she was talking to our friend Lee Hanna a little bit. And after she left, I was like, "Lee, what is up with that Emily girl?" He was like, "Stay the fuck away from her, bro," because he was kind of like her big brother.
Mm-hmm.
And Lee ended up passing away years later.
Oh.
A heroin addiction.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
But she hit me up and was like, "Hey, I'm in the hospital right now too. I had to get surgeries. What happened?" So we just kind of started talking.
So you're in the same hospital?
No, I'm in a hospital in Redding.
Okay. I was what are the chances that you
Yeah,
guys are in the same hospital, just different floors?
I'm at Mercy Hospital in Reading, and she was at Renown, and we just kind of started talking. So when I came back, they sent me back with and of course I had just gotten clean off opioids again.
Yeah, and now you're back in this
I woke
situation.
up getting pumped full of them again. And then they sent me home with a prescription that I take, like, I eat them all up, like, immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So she came to try to help me out because she was sober and clean and sober. And so in my brilliance, I decide that I'm going to leave my parents' house, and I'm going to go I don't know what my plan really was, but that's one of the things with frontal lobe damage too, is your decision making is fucked.
Oh, shot. Yeah.
That was what I was wondering about, is decision making, impulse control, anger. All those tend to be wrapped up in frontal lobe.
Yeah, and they're all completely erratic once you damage it. So I call him my adopted brother. I had him come get me, and I was going to go have dinner at his house, and then I had him take me to the Sands. Because I had just gotten my per cap check too from my tribe. So I had a little money, but Emily worked at the Sands. So I went and got a room at the Sands and then left a note for her at the front desk that said, "Hey, it's Randall. I'm here. Bye, Randall." And I said, I can't remember. I was so
I'm
stupid.
Here, bye.
So she ends up coming up to my room, and there was already junkies in there. I was already doing that. And she came up and she was like, "Dude, what the fuck are you doing? How are you going to take care of yourself? You can't even fucking stand up. You can't do anything." Like, then she kicked all the junkies out.
Wow.
Drug them all out.
Yeah, she was beating them up.
Yeah, she did her thing and sat down with me and was just like, "Look, I'm not in a good place in my life either. I will stick with you, and we can hopefully look out for each other, but I can't do it if you're going to be in this world. So you need to make a fucking decision like now. And that's when I decided right then, like, okay. And that was, I guess you'd call it my sobriety date, kind of.
Which is?
I have no idea.
Oh.
I was high when that happened.
Oh, shit. But she got me into a Suboxone program, which is, do you guys know what Suboxone is?
I do, yeah.
I don't.
She got me, Suboxone is it's basically Narcan and another drug called buprenorphine. So what it does is when you're coming off of opioids, it covers and coats that receptor. So you don't get sick, you don't get the withdrawals because the receptor thinks that there's opioids on it, but then it also blocks opioids.
That's a really great program, actually. That probably is like so much easier to get through it.
It makes it much easier to get through it.
Yeah.
And if you even like, okay, I want to get high, you have to wait 3 days.
It ruins your high. You can't do it, really.
Yeah, because you can do the drugs, but you're not going to feel them because those receptors are all coated up and protected. And then I have to shout out Dr. Ryan Zeller and Dr. Karen Yeagers because they saved my life. Between them and Emily, they saved my life 100%.
The trifecta.
And just me, like, just having somebody with me that was okay with me. And for whatever reason, I immediately felt comfortable enough with her to tell her stuff that was eating me alive that I had done or had experienced that I couldn't tell anyone else because one, like, whether it's a legality thing or just things that you can't share when you live that kind of lifestyle for that long.
Yeah. So that probably was such a relief to finally have someone you trust.
Probably feel safe.
And not just someone looking out for you on the street, but someone, I mean, you were in love with her. Immediately, yeah.
And her, me too. And we were at the Sands, and then we went from the Sands to a 1-bedroom apartment with her aunt and shared a couch. I still couldn't stand. I couldn't do anything. And it was still going to be 1.5 years in the wheelchair. But she had done in-home care nursing where they go help the elderly and clean them up. And so she knew a little bit enough to, like, because even when I was in the hospital in Redding, I couldn't move my legs at all. So I was picking them up and at a bend and then pushing them back down just so they were moving. Because the thought of not being able to walk was scaring the shit out of me.
Yeah.
So by the time we were at the apartment, it was 4 weeks after the accident, 5 weeks or so. I was continuing to move my legs and just try to stretch. And at 5 or 6 weeks, I stood up.
Damn.
Wow.
When it's supposed to be months and months and months.
Years.
Yeah.
It was going to be 1 year at least.
And that's all from just
So could you feel
white-knuckling that too, it sounds
Basically.
like. Yeah.
So could you feel your legs at the beginning, or no, you couldn't feel at all? So you were doing exercises to try
I was moving them with my hands and pushing them back down, moving them.
So then what was like the exercise that you did where you felt it, where you felt your leg?
I started getting feeling back in them about a week after.
Oh, okay.
So in the beginning it was I don't know if they had just had so many surgeries and everything that once I could feel them though, it sucked. That sucked a lot because it hurt so goddamn bad.
Oh, yeah.
And just the pain of ever trying to move, trying to go from a couch to a wheelchair because my pelvis and my hips being broken and just being scared to go to the bathroom. Number 2.
Yeah.
Dude, and being on all those opioids. I was so scared.
Oh my God.
I would be too.
I was so scared. And then when I finally had to,
yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I'm going to fucking die again. Oh my God.
Just a Chipotle-sized burrito coming
Yeah,
up.
and everything is broken.
Yeah.
Everything in that area is.
Wait, yes. I don't like want this to be too TMI, but like, how are you pushing? Like
very carefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like you don't want to like push so hard that like you break
No.
other things in your body.
No, and all my ribs were broken too. So, and my
Yeah.
spleen was ruptured. So everything was broken. Everything was broken.
Yeah. You don't want to sneeze. You don't want to cough.
Definitely don't want to poop.
You kind of.
Gosh,
No.
that's so wild.
It was horrible. And another thing about Emily too, because she had come over to my mom's house.
Yeah.
So for my parents to meet her and see that I was like actually talking to a normal like human being.
Oh, they probably cried.
They were like, "Oh my God, what's the catch? You know, what's going on?" But
She's my nurse.
yeah, basically. And she was like, "Well, I wonder if we could like do an insurance thing where like I could care for you and then the insurance could help us out."
That would be sick.
Because she was licensed.
Smart.
So
Okay, yeah.
we didn't ever end up doing it, but she had to dump my pee buckets early on. We got
Real tight.
Real
the
close.
pride thing was out. You know how hard it is to charm a girl from a fucking wheelchair?
Got to have
Yeah,
some good personality.
I'm just like an extreme bullshitter. I don't know how I did it, but I did it.
Well, I would be interested to hear her
pushing
answer.
me around.
Yeah.
Pushing me around, wheeling me. I wheeled into her life and never left. That's what she tells everybody. Motherfucker wheels into my life, and then I end up pushing his ass around.
Yeah.
But she, after I stood up, I actually have a picture of that moment when I stood up in a mirror behind Emily, and she was like, "Damn, you're kind of tall. I didn't realize how tall you were.
Oh my
She'd only ever seen me sitting."
Yeah.
And we went from the apartment. I went from standing up to shuffling, and then like kind of fully walking, but it was still really gnarly. The pain was next level. And the Suboxone was getting me off of the pain meds, but it's not a very great pain medication. It does help a little bit, but it doesn't. Everything was brutal.
Yeah.
But then 6 weeks I'm standing. At 10 weeks I got a job out at Tesla.
Nice.
Because I knew it was going to be mainly walking. It wasn't going to be work, like the work I was used to, like cabinetry or construction or. So I did that. I still had all my hardware in. I had 4 or 5 bolts in my knee, the 11-inch bolt in my tailbone, all that. Still had most of my staples when I started working out there. I saw all the staples. I had 27 staples in my head.
Oh my gosh. Were people like asking you like what happened?
Yeah, they're like, Jesus Christ. And I was pulling them out when I was in the hospital. I thought they were splinters. They didn't tell me that they didn't even tell me that they had stapled my head up. So I'm laying in the hospital. I'm like, damn, because I had a splinter that was that long and like that big around in my foot that they never took out.
Oh.
I ended up taking out when I got back to Reno.
What the fuck?
My mom and dad had to cut it out. So I thought I had splinters in my head when I was in the hospital. So I'm grabbing them, popping them out.
Yeah, you're like wiggling it out.
I
Like
popped like 6 or 7 of them out,
my
and they
God.
came in and they were like, "Whoa!" Because
Your
if I
head's
would have gotten
bleeding
far
a lot.
enough, my
Your
brain
head
would-
oh my
my
gosh.
brain would have been exposed again, or my plate anyway. But me and Em went back to my mom's house. My mom and dad took us, and they saw what we were doing, and we right away already knew what we wanted to do. We didn't know how we were going to do it. We didn't know what was going to happen, but we knew that we felt safe with each other. So 3 months into being together, we got married, or maybe 4.
damn.
It was quick.
Yeah.
I was like,
You guys had already been through so much shit.
yeah, and we just knew.
Yeah.
I don't know how I knew, but I was like, I'm gonna be with you forever, I think. She was like, yeah, I think I could. I was like, I'd marry you. She's like, I'd marry you. I was
Like, okay.
You want to get
Should
married?
we do it?
She's like, yeah, sure. So we went and got our marriage license and then called our families that we're all rather upset about, and some of them came. And they just glared at us like, basically like, what are you fucking idiots doing?
Really? How old are you guys?
I was 31
Oh.
and she was 35, 36.
Okay. So I
But
mean
they just thought we were being erratic again. Like,
yeah.
because she has her own past and
Past,
story
yeah.
with her stuff. They just thought they were like, oh, Jesus Christ, come on, you guys.
Yeah.
Just do one fucking thing normal, please.
Right.
Just one. So we and we'll be married forever.
Yeah.
You know, we will. And then we had our first daughter.
Oh, congrats.
Very exciting.
Well, how long ago?
Well, we had our first daughter that next year. Next year, maybe that same year.
So she.
I don't think she was pregnant during when we got married. No, she wasn't. She couldn't have been. So the next year we had my daughter Eva, who's now 6. Then we had Lily, and in the course of all of this, in the beginning, she was in a custody case for her son.
You guys probably bonded over that.
Figuring out custody,
Yeah.
and we couldn't afford a lawyer, so we had to figure out the court system. So figuring that out, I learned how to do it. I learned the system. So then I filed for custody for my son, and I got custody.
Oh, really?
Which he wasn't. It wasn't his fault, but not having my son was the catalyst to my becoming a heroin addict.
Yeah.
So getting custody of him was like the ultimate fucking success.
Yeah.
Yeah. And was it full custody or
I got 50-50.
50-50? Okay.
And we still have 50-50, and we've actually worked it out now.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
And how old is he?
He's 11.
11. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, he's 11. So we have and then we had our Lily girl after Eva. So we have Lily, who's 3, Eva's 6, Ryder's 11, and Reich is 13.
You got a full house.
Yeah.
Oh. Wait, so you had 2 sons?
My wife has a son from her past relationship.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow.
That myself, Reich, my stepson, Ryder, my biological son, my mother-in-law, my niece, 2 of my cousins, all of our birthdays are on October 4th.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
That's kind of crazy, actually. Is it a big birthday party?
Let's do some math real quick.
It's
What's
an
9
expensive
months?
one.
What's 9 months before October 4th? Because people must be fucking.
January or something.
Huh.
Maybe New Year's resolution. I don't know. January.
New Year's resolution?
As soon as the resolutions drop off, it's like, fuck it.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
wild,
So
though.
we just have one big thing, and my mother-in-law's name is Doris. My mom's name is Doris. My wife's grandfather's name is Leonard. My grandfather's name is Leonard. My wife's little brother's name is David. My little brother's name is David.
Oh, wow.
No excuse to forget anything.
No,
Yeah.
there's so many things like that, and we had our little family now, and still and then we became guardians of my wife's niece. Took her out of foster care. So then we had 5.
Wow. And you guys are all in the same house?
Yep.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I just got to work, and we really ended up lucking out and getting a house big enough for that many people.
Yeah.
Out there in the back in the North Valleys. So we're on like 13 acres.
Oh, that's so nice.
That's badass.
Wow.
Good for
Well,
you, man.
Congrats. I mean, that's also really amazing to have all your family living together. Like, that's actually sometimes a dream for people to be all together like that. So
Yeah.
that's really awesome that
Yeah,
you guys
so,
have stayed.
yeah, we have the kids split, and we have better relationships with their past relationships, like, because that's a tough one, especially when you go through court.
Yeah.
The court system it's designed to make people hate each other,
Yeah.
and they want you to fight. They want you to argue. It's horrible. The court system is a fucking wreck,
Yeah.
and it's not for the kids.
Not at all.
It's for the lawyers to continue to make money, and then the courts to also obtain money by constantly having proceedings and processions and this and that. So
And it takes way too long.
Nobody
kids
wins
involved. No one.
except for lawyers. Like that's it.
And
which
that's
is
why
fucked up.
at both cases, what actually ended up finishing the case was not the judge. It was me connecting with my ex and being like, "Look, dude, I just want to be his dad, and we can work this out. I know we can." And the same thing with my wife and her ex-husband. Like, look, let's just work it out,
Yeah.
because the courts are not helping us.
No.
They're just stirring up more trouble, and the kids are suffering. They're the ones that are suffering.
Yeah.
So got through all that, and that was really, 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 really good to finally be past that.
I'm sure that brings a lot more peace to the household.
Yeah, for sure.
When it comes to maintaining tradition and culture, with your kids, with your family. How do you do that? Because you said how do you pronounce it? Wayut? Wiyot.
Yeah.
So how do you interface with your own Wiyot culture? And then how do you keep those traditions and pass them on to your kids?
So we have, I was able to obtain some literature on my tribe's language. So like Yigawa Nichin, thank you for having me. I'm Randall Bowman. Yigawa Nichin is like, yep, thank you, blessings for having me.
Oh,
or
wow.
Good night and good morning. And so we like my girls are counting, and we are Shlaiha Naka Taka Dinshe Shluba Dinshe Bukat Shlaiha Bukat Naka Dinshe Shlogo Nestian is from 1 to 10. And then my wife knows Paiute, some Paiute. So we just try to speak the language with them.
Yeah.
And the girls dance powwow.
That's awesome.
They just had their first dances this last year. So they went
That's
out there.
really awesome. Wow.
And did that. And they both want to be jingle dress dancers. So we'll get them all set up to go out and do that.
That's
and
super fun.
We're always at powwow. Not always. We don't. There's a whole powwow circuit that some people do because there's for the big actual powwows, big dances and stuff. There's prizes and people can make a living off of being well known in the powwow circuit.
Really? Like how much money can they make?
You can make quite a bit on some of them. Some of the big ones, like Gathering of Nations, the purse is big for each different sex. So there's like jingle dress dancing. There's traditional. There's fancy dancing. Like for men, fancy dancing traditional is like where you see all the big headdresses and really awesome regalia and stuff.
Oh, cool.
So we do a lot of the powwows, and my wife, among all of the other things that she does, she also got into making balloons, like these. I don't know what kind of material it is, but she makes these big balloons. She cuts them, puts
Like latex?
kind of, but it's like thick and see-through. So she stuffs them with teddy bears and roses and dolls. So then we got into the craft fair scene.
That's cool. Yeah.
So we go to powwow and just have a booth, and she sells balloons and toys and stuff. And then the kids have like a home base to come back to as they're running around with all the other kids on.
Oh, that's so awesome.
And I'm actually starting a program with Head Start on the colony where once a month I'm going to go down and teach some of the little guys some Wiyot words.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yes.
So are you like talking with your kids in that language?
Yeah,
Like
we're trying.
Okay.
I have a ton to learn.
Yeah.
But we try to, like, when we speak to each other, it's like Kima when we're at the store. Kima means come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Or yabi means let's go now.
Right. Okay.
Like, how was your day? Pisha you? Or no pisha, it means good or bad. So we try to just speak to them in the language and teach them about themselves, how they need to interact with nature, how they need to interact with their elders, how they should interact with each other.
Yeah. And what is that? Like, can you teach us a little bit about it?
Yeah. So there's a lot of things. First of all, elders are of the utmost importance when it comes to any indigenous culture because they have all of the wisdom. They have the past. Most Native American tribes, they don't have written documentation of the past. It's all oral tradition. So the elders hold that. And if you can't have respect for the elders, then the traditions will die. Which was what happened in the 90s-ish, 2000s. A lot of the kids weren't the type of kids that cared to learn the traditions and things. So elders, family is huge. Family is huge. So when somebody passes or is passing, they go home, everyone goes to the home while they pass, and they drum and sing until their spirit is finally taken over to the other side. And the whole family's usually there. And just trying to keep our kids aware that we still exist. Because when I was a kid, the North Valleys was not I mean, there was one black family out there, I think, too. There were some Mexican kids, but I didn't even tell anybody I was Native because I was so worried they were gonna fucking make fun of me or it was just gonna be another problem. So I just kind of kept it quiet. I want my kids to be very, very proud of where they come from. Very proud. And then teaching them each of our tribe's creation stories. You know, like my wife's tribe's creation stories, they came from the earth. My people came from the water and the redwood forest and the cedar. So just keeping those things, and like we raised our babies and their girls on cradle boards, which is like a traditional bassinet, but you just tie them to a board. They're all little wrapped up, all comfy in their little board, and you just prop them up and let them hang out with everybody.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, the sleep set.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
that's
on
so
a board, so you
interesting.
can put the board on your back, hang the board on a tree.
Oh my gosh, no.
You're gonna hang out over there.
Yeah, for sure. So like when they're out working, there's old photos. My mother-in-law was telling me that when they were babies, my wife and her brother, they'd be out doing things outside, and they'd just have the baby in a cradle board because they're wrapped up, tucked up. There's a little board under their feet, and then they just kind of hang them up and let them just chill
like a
there.
picture frame.
And then they
to
just
be
hang
part
out.
of it. Yeah.
That's how you know if somebody grew up really traditionally, is that the back of their head will be flat. Because as a baby, they're growing up on a cradle board.
Yeah. I'm gonna start looking at the back of people's heads now.
Like, yo, hey,
Hey, flathead.
come here.
Hey,
Come here.
yeah.
Let me see what the back of your head looks like.
Oh my gosh. So I have a question, and I'm not really sure how to phrase this, so bear with me.
Just go for it.
With your tradition, and like even when you talk about your creative story, like your wife's creative story with her tribe, and then where your tribe came from, and when you're going through dying and coming back to life, where do you go? Like, do you believe in God? Like, is that part of your guys' origin story?
Most all indigenous people in North America, or Turtle Island, which is Canada, America, and Mexico, believe in Creator. So there is an ultimate force,
Okay.
an ultimate creator of all of us and all of our things. But most creation stories are in some way of us either being brought here from somewhere else or coming from the earth. So like some tribes' creation story is them being brought here from a different place outside of earth.
Oh.
Like being brought and planted in the earth and then coming from the earth that way. That's why almost all indigenous peoples all definitely believe in and have stories of being contacted with extraterrestrials or extra dimensionals, is because they believe that that's where they came from. They came from another place.
So what tribes specifically?
The ones that have any little documentation of some of that are the oh my gosh, I'm gonna not Yaqui, but they're Arizona, like New Mexico tribe.
Okay.
That they're still around, but they believe greatly in the fact that they came from another place.
Yeah.
And then were brought here. And then when the flood and all that happened, because even indigenous peoples have the story of the flood. The flood happened. They came back, got them, and took them back away and kept them safe. So every tribe has a little bit different of a creation story of how they came to be, but they're all usually fairly similar. It's them coming from the earth somehow. Like we came from the red rocks in Arizona, or we came out of the water. We are people of the water, or people of the redwood. That's why there's such a deep connection to the land and to nature.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. So then how do you guys look at death? Like, where do you go when you guys pass?
Back to the spirit world, and you can be visited in the spirit world, which is how like some ceremonies come about, is connecting to your ancestors, and talking to your ancestors. but death is a good thing. It's a proud thing if you lived a good life and you did good for your community and good for yourself, and your death is an honorable one.
Yeah, I want to acknowledge everything that you just talked about because you just took us on a full journey of life and death. And
I try to compact it because there's so much more like stuff.
This is a
but, like,
multi-part series type of story. This is
yeah,
not
there's so much more, but I just want I want to get out how crazy and how fucked up it was, because there's some people that are going through it right now.
yeah,
Right now they're in the middle of that. And when you're in that, you believe in your heart that you are incapable of getting out of it. I'm never going to get out of this fucking hole. It's too deep, it's too dark. It's too dangerous. I'm scared. I'm alone. Everybody fucking hates me. So just that alone makes it hard. But then when people can see that I made it and that my life I'm still living life that is hard. Life is fucking hard for everybody. It's not easy for anyone. Just because I got clean and I have a business and a nonprofit and an awesome hot wife and all these great kids and good friends. My life is still hard. I still have plenty of problems. It doesn't go away.
life is not supposed to be easy. I don't think that we're supposed to live in comfort as human beings.
No,
I think that we're supposed to be challenged in our life.
for sure, because it makes us who we are. And if
Otherwise, you'll find your own chaos.
you will,
That's how it goes.
and I fucking create it.
Yeah.
If there's not some shit going on, I will make things bad.
Yeah.
It's a fucking problem.
The amount of times that you have overdosed, died, come back to life, and you are sitting here with us today so like poised and are able to communicate so effectively. Like you were just walking over here like so you
I'm skating
seem
again.
strong. Like
I'm
Good.
skating again.
that
I
I mean
started
it's just
skating
an
again this year.
incredible
Does that bring
recovery.
More joy.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm so bad at it. I don't, of all the things, like, I can still play guitar like normal, like I always could. That didn't get taken from me, and with the brain injury and
Yeah.
everything. So I can still play music the same. But what did get taken was my ability to skate. And I was never like pro good, but I was good enough but now it's gone. I'm relearning.
Yeah.
Like just it's not communicating.
Well, I'm sure ankle mobility's been fucked up, knees, hips, back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Everything.
it's getting me back into getting back in shape and like working out again and lifting again and getting my body back to normal so I can skate. And I can take my kids skating, which is rad. And
Yeah. It's so important like to get your strength training back. Do you work out at a gym specifically? Do you do
yeah,
CrossFit?
I've started to again these last couple months.
Yeah.
It took a while because I was a little bit worried about popping something out of place, or like I have so much kind of artificial stuff going on that I don't want a surgery again.
Yeah,
I
no.
want to keep all that shit where
Yeah.
it belongs. And
Yeah,
just
and-
in.
I mean, I've got all this awesome stuff going on too with my work that I do, with the furniture making that I do.
Yeah.
All those amazing dudes I work with at Sierra Foothill Cabinets, who, by the way, are hands down best cabinet makers in town.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us more about your woodworking and like this world.
Yeah, so I got back. When I was younger, I was a cabinet finisher, woodworking finisher. So what I did was I sprayed the lacquer, I did all the staining and sanding and stuff. That's how I got into it. And then throughout the years, I would kind of be in and out of shops. After the accident, I was like, I want to learn how to make a guitar. I want to start making guitars. So I kind of got my wife bought me some tools, and I kind of started messing around in it. And after Tesla, working there, I got all my hardware out. So then I went to a manufacturing job at a different place. It was a little bit harder. And once I felt good there, I was like, okay, now I can work. I think I can work for real. So I got a job with Finishing Touch Carpentry up in Truckee. Well, they're in Truckee now. They were in Verdi with Alex Gonzalez, who is basically taught me all of the fundamental stuff that I know now, and was just an awesome help to me going into that. We had a bit of a falling out, but he's still one of the best woodworkers I've ever met.
That's awesome.
Just a bit.
Yeah,
He's just a bit of a dick.
Oh. He must
Comes
have
with the
taught you
territory.
well, though.
Yeah.
It's in the trades.
Yeah, it's important to be a dick if you're in the trades. Don't be nice to everybody.
Yeah.
Come on now.
You make some sick furniture.
Thank
Like
you.
I'm sure it's like very expensive to buy because it's like the epoxy.
Some of it is.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And I ended up doing that like by accident too. I left Alex's, and because I started doing side jobs while I was there. And when I left there, I was like, okay, I'll just finish some of my side work and I'll just get a different job. Well, then my side work kept growing and growing and growing and growing to the point where for several years I got a shop in Sparks and I had a space up in Truckee, and I was running a full operation, making furniture and doing the epoxy stuff because I gave a gift to my friend for having me on his show. And it was a Nevada board with some resin in it.
Oh, that's cool.
And people fucking loved it.
Yeah.
And I ended up making so many of those. I actually have one for you guys that I forgot. So
That is.
I'll swing by one day and drop it off for you for having me on because I've got you guys a little gift.
Thank you
that
so
was so
much.
sweet. Thank you.
And in all of that, I became a furniture maker and started I'm almost done with the first guitar now.
So I've seen a couple of videos that you're putting together. I'm excited to see the finished product.
I know, me too.
And then I got into cabinetry because my wife ended up getting some opportunities to do makeup. And I was like, well, just go part-time at work. I'll get a full-time. I don't care. I don't need to be, I don't care.
Yeah.
As long as I'm doing what I like and I'm making a little bit of money, I want you to do your thing now. So I did that and I got in with a cabinet shop here in town. And then she went and my wife went and worked with you too.
Nice.
Yeah.
She's worked with some of the craziest. She's such a beast.
Gosh, that is like
Ralph
so
Lauren,
cool.
The Pawn Star guys. She's done lots of cool stuff. And then the whole cabinetry thing grew, and now I'm with a different outfit with a bunch of dudes that are just like me, that are just killing it. So I half the time furniture maker, half the time cabinet maker.
Yeah, that is so awesome. I'm so glad that you found like this, like that your work is almost your passion too.
Yeah, it is.
Which is like so, I mean, that's rare. A lot of people don't have that.
No, because it's hard to find the thing that you love that much. And like, it turns out that I ended up being good at it, and you can make a really great living doing it.
Yeah.
It's hard work and it's gnarly work and everything, and I can also use it to benefit all the communities I'm involved in, because I can build these things. The way I obtain wood is trees are felled up in Tahoe and Oregon and other places all the time just to build houses. A lot of time they fell these trees. If they don't chop it up for firewood, they throw the tree away.
What?
Yeah.
After cutting it down?
Yes. They cut the fucking tree down and they will throw it in a landfill.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So I get my hands on these logs and I take them, dry them, and then I'll mill them, slab them or whatever.
Yeah.
And then with that material, I make furniture, and I always end up with cutoffs that are 4 foot, whatever, 5 foot. So I make benches, and then we raffle the benches to raise money for places like Eddie's house or places like Hope's. Or
I love that.
Yeah.
so at the end, all of the material is used, so there's no wasted material, and some good is done with it. And I can support my family with the other part.
Yeah, and you're not like wasting trees.
The trees aren't getting thrown away. When I
Right.
found out about that years ago, I was like, "Are you fucking what?"
Yeah, that actually is that seems
It's
illegal.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like they could be able to do that,
And a lot of
especially
times-
with how much they care about our environment in Tahoe. Like that just seems.
Care is a strong word.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, clearly not. I
It's
mean,
a marketable word.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
There's a dollar sign attached to it.
Yeah.
Gosh. So the woodworking that you're doing, is that also what you're teaching in your nonprofit?
Some of it, yeah.
Some of it?
Yeah, we did an event in Southern California called the Native Nexus, where we kind of partnered with another group. And I just taught kids how to make, we made hair, I don't know what you call them, hair sticks.
Brushes?
Like how girls wrap their hair and put chopsticks in them.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We made those.
I was thinking of like a hair brush, and I was like, hair sticks, close.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that we made those. And I think a lot of what I'm going to be teaching is also music.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to try to get kids into financial literacy.
That's
It's
fantastic.
something I've spent a lot of time educating myself on financial literacy.
Yeah, that's so
It's
important.
coming up the way I did. We didn't learn about money.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No one teaches you that. If you come from any kind of like impoverished background, nobody knows to teach that.
No.
They don't have the path in front of them. So the
No.
fact that you've gotten to walk a very difficult fucking road and teach others so that they don't have to,
Yeah,
very helpful.
it's so important. It's so important to be financially literate. Like, my whole life changed once I was like, wait. The stock market is just like drug dealing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's it. So, I don't know if I'm not gonna like go to a 6-year-old kid and be like, all right, kid. So if you have a gram,
Yeah.
but just to help them start understanding that, like, no, like, you make your money and you put your money somewhere, and your money makes money for you.
Yeah.
And remain safe, and think about the future. Don't think about right now.
I just learned about a high yield savings account last year.
Yeah,
Like,
it's crazy. They
like,
don't teach you
no.
that stuff.
They don't.
You have to go out. I ended up learning about crypto. And at the same time, I found out I had a 401k from years ago that still had some money in it. And I was like, oh shit, I'll just put it in crypto and mess
Yeah.
around in the stock market. And then over the last few years, I've just been learning and learning and learning. And it has paid off tremendously.
Wow.
That's awesome.
I feel like
Good for
I
your
need to learn
family,
from you.
too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's really, really important. And now my family too, in the future, it will be set up in some way or another, let alone the fact that my kids have a trust with the tribe.
Mm.
Good.
So when they have to graduate high school, though, they'll get somewhere around $250,000
That's epic.
Wait, what?
Good.
each.
If they graduate,
If they graduate, if not, they have to wait till they're 25.
but they're still getting that amount of money?
Yeah, because
Oh
we
my-
we get per capita distributions from the money that the tribe makes from the casino, the gas station, the restaurant.
Oh,
So some of that money gets distributed
yeah.
to the people. The kids don't get their money. It goes into a trust.
Oh, got
And
it. Okay.
accumulates on, I'm not sure what the percentage is on the yield, but it accumulates. So about average, my girls and my son will have around 250,000.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like that is, and they don't even realize it right
They
now. They're
don't.
at an age that they can't actually
don't.
conceptualize.
So that I'm pushing hard on to learn about investing and just
Yeah.
protecting your money and just having their passion figured out before they get there.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing we want to do with these kids from these rural reservations and impoverished kids in communities is like, no, there's so many avenues for you to take. Entrepreneurialism, or maybe school and college is your thing. Maybe it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's there. Let me show you what that actually looks like.
Yeah.
Here's somebody that went through it. Here's somebody that did it. Here's somebody that's doing it now.
Well, you're giving the exposure, like you were talking about earlier. Like these kids don't realize that there's a path because they've never seen it. And you are literally creating that visual representation of like, here are all the options for you.
Yeah.
Like, let's figure it out. That's incredible. I'm so happy that you guys have built this nonprofit, and the work that you're doing is amazing. Like it really is. It's making an impact.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there anything specific that you would want people to know about Indigenous people here in Reno, or just in general, that is not being talked about, that you want people to know more about?
That we're here. We're still here. We're not a fictional thing. We're not history.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you hear anybody talk about Indigenous people anywhere, whether it's on Turtle Island or elsewhere, they talk about them like they're already history.
Mm-hmm.
Like before, when these people were here, but we're all still here and we're all still learning and growing. And some people are really, 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 really fascinating individuals that are building great businesses and great organizations and doing really big things. They just need, basically, just to say it, it's not the most intelligent way to say it, but basically they need the white world to reach out to them. Because that disconnect isn't just from white people on the outside. Indigenous people and Native peoples on the reservation feel that same disconnect. Like we can't connect with them, like they don't. But if everybody just opened their mind and be like, no, we can all work together and do something even bigger or better, and some people are doing it. But I really do want people just don't be afraid to go on to the powwows and say hi, or just hang out and just experience it. Everyone's welcome. And the only time that you wouldn't be welcome is if it's a closed ceremony.
Right.
That's different.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah,
But
you like walking up to somebody else's funeral and being like, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it'd be a little fucked up.
Yeah, it'd be kind of strange.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you? I'm just here to hang out, bro.
Yeah.
Just really like what you guys are doing. I think it's cool. All right, thanks.
Yeah. Cool, man. Fucking cool. Thanks.
Well,
Your fucking grandma Cherokee too?
Yeah.
do you hear that a lot from like?
That's kind of the running joke in the Indian world is everyone's got a grandma that was a Cherokee princess. Everyone does.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Yeah.
That's really, really funny.
It is super funny. It is a little. It's kind of crazy right now because there's money in the Native world right now because of all the movies that are coming out and different, different TV shows.
Yeah.
People are making it to Paris Fashion Week and getting into Vogue, and there's a lot of people that aren't Native at all that are fully playing the character.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty, and some people that are out there teaching Native ways that are maybe just Hispanic or South American or they're just full of shit, if I'm going to say it bluntly.
Yeah.
And they're kind of just playing this weird character of what they think a Native person is because Reservation Dogs came out. It's kind of strange. If it's all positive and they're like supporting and everything, then who cares?
Yeah.
Whatever.
If they're doing a caricature, it's completely different.
Yeah, but if you're just in it for the money and you're that's what a real culture vulture is.
Okay, I actually want to talk about this. So when people are creating art just for the sake of like just creative expression, it's for yourself, you're not selling it, and you're not like Native American, you're not part of any tribe, how do you feel about that? Like, is that being a culture vulture if you were to create art that represented?
In terms of art, I think if something inspires you, then it inspires you. If it inspires you because you're trying to make money off of it, or you see someone else's work and you're like, oh shit, they should be selling this, when maybe that basket design or that ribbon skirt is a ceremonial thing, and you unknowingly are out there recreating and mass producing this pattern that you know nothing about, that's very different. But expressive art and art that just inspires you, I think people should make whatever art makes them feel good. But if you're selling it, that's a totally different thing.
Yeah. Okay.
You can't go down to Santa Fe and be like, okay, I'm going to make that. I'm going to make that. I'm going to make that. And there's a big difference between Native inspired and inspired natives.
That is a great.
I love that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Should get that tattooed.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I remember when it was kind of not like trending to say, but the headdress for Halloween, that started to become like a big no. And like as a kid,
Yeah.
like growing up, you just like didn't even
You didn't think about
think
it.
anything of it until you start getting older and you start having those conversations with people. And like I guess how do you feel about like that kind of stuff where people are wearing it as like a Halloween costume? Because then if you're, and this is just more out of curiosity, if you're not exposing like that side of your guys' culture at all, and it's not in the media, it's not being exposed in any way, then you may like lose it, like the
Yes.
exposure of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like where's the balance there? How do you integrate it where it's not being a culture vulture?
It's difficult because it's a lot of time when for the Halloween costume thing specifically, we're not a character.
Mm-hmm.
We're not a piece of history that you can recreate for fun.
Right.
And normally when someone does dress up like an Indian, the whole kind of running thing is like, don't scalp me, that kind of stuff. So it's like the whole thing is, and a lot of times people really don't give a shit. Most natives don't even really give a shit, honestly. They don't. It's still like kind of like, like cringeworthy, like, fucking come on, man.
Yeah.
Do
see someone
you
do
really want to know what happened to Pocahontas?
Right.
Because she was 12, got raped,
Yeah.
got stolen. They killed most of her family. Like, that whole story was not... Colors of the Wind
Right.
are a totally different shade when you hear what actually happened. So, it's a really strange line between, like, admiring and making fun of, I think, honestly.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people that raise these big fusses usually aren't even native people.
It's people trying to be an ally, but tend to overstep some boundaries.
Just overstep and just like get into some shit where it's like, it doesn't even matter though. There's some things that really do matter, for sure. And you don't have to be screaming at the rooftops. You just go and support rather than, it's a weird, tough thing to kind of grapple with. But most people, most native people are always willing to educate anybody that has the question. I mean, assholes are assholes, and some people just suck. Doesn't matter where they come from, what color they are. But most people are down to educate. Hey, is this okay? And they'll tell you, no.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing? No.
Why are you painting your face? Like,
yeah. Blackface isn't cool, dude.
Right.
I don't know why I have to say this.
Fucking weird.
I thought you were throwing me under the bus for a second with some art stuff.
No.
So I made I do a little bit of art from time to time. And I made this, I don't even know what to describe it as. It's a native guy with a headdress and a hatchet, and it's like half the torso facing that way.
I saw it, and you made that?
Yeah.
That's dope. I was gonna.
He's an artist. He's underplaying himself. He is
You're
really
an
good.
artist. You're actively doing it. I did that once.
I was gonna ask you about. I was gonna ask you about that very fit young man looking like he's handling some, taking care of some justice that needs to be served.
Yeah.
But no, that thing was dope looking.
Thanks.
And
I wanted to put it up in here, but I also didn't want to look like I was pandering to you, walking in like, "Hey, man, what's up?"
Yeah, no,
it was not.
I would have totally asked you about it. Like, so before we get started,
Yeah.
no, I think, and that's cool, and it looks like he's getting real murdery, and that's kind of sick, also.
Some justice.
Yeah, some vigilante justice. That kind of stuff, I don't think matters, and I think it's really just personal preference too. Like, you didn't go and steal a bunch of basket design.
No.
And fucking, you're not mass producing it to sell it or anything. That was just I can't believe you made that fucking thing. It looks rad.
Thank you. No, it's a piece of art that I appreciate and think is cool, and so
It is cool.
Made it.
He just it was like in his drawing notebook for years, and then he just got this like urge. He's like, I'm going to just make this, and then he did. You did it within like a couple days.
I lived on a page for like 4 or 5 years, and I was like, I saw it a couple times, and I was like, man, I'd really like to see this on a wall.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
That was cool.
Thank you.
It's cool. See, and that's kind of the difference. Like, I think
Yeah.
that's a big difference. And that,
Well, he got called out for it. That's why I was wondering.
he did?
Yeah.
By who?
I don't remember who I got called out by.
No, it just like he got called out on Instagram, like just someone had commented. But
I'm sure they would. And because, like I said, some people are just fucking assholes.
yeah.
Some people have too much time on their hands.
Yeah, it's not like you did it and then like had a drum and were explaining like this painting oh way oh hey oh ha.
Yeah.
Like
Not a
like
good look.
no, it's just and some people are just out there to stir shit.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly. Like they're just like trying to cause trouble.
Yeah.
It's the difference between being helpful and educating and then
Right.
being ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't anything about that seemed offensive. I mean, to me,
For art's sake,
to me, it looked like that young man was handling his business.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thanks.
yeah.
Business handled.
Business handled. I kind of wanted to close out this episode with a couple different questions.
Mhm.
One, because you have gone through such an intense and insane addiction, just journey.
Mhm.
What would you say to people that are not necessarily to that person, but to the family members, the friends that are seeing that person go through it? What advice would you give them to help that person?
Love is the answer every time. Whatever it is, whether it's that person needing to find love in themselves, there's a lot of self-loathing that comes along with addiction because you do shit you're not proud of, and not because you want to do it, and you see things that you wish you hadn't seen. There's a lot of self-loathing. It's very difficult to understand why addicts do the things they do because it's like, why would you do that to me? It's like, I'm not doing it to you. I'm just doing it because I fucking have to. Or because you feel like you have to. So just, I don't think people should go to the extent of, I forget the word now, like codependency, or to the point where you're like, no, I'll just buy your drugs so you don't have to be sick. That's not the answer. Sometimes the answer is letting go and saying, you have to go and figure this out, but just still being understanding and loving and being willing to try and understand, because that person usually they don't understand what they're going through either. It's very difficult to deal with somebody in addiction because you can't force somebody into treatment. Very seldom is it going to be successful. The person has to be ready. Something has to click. Sometimes it's just a single phrase or a word or something to just make them realize, like, okay, I'm ready. It's a very, very odd thing. And digging up the tough stuff that caused it usually doesn't help in the midst of it. If you're in full addiction, trying to tell somebody, well, look, this is why you are this way. I don't fucking care. I can't do anything about that right now. So just being understanding and loving them.
Yeah.
You don't have to give them everything they want because they'll want everything. But just loving them and trying to be understanding.
Yeah, that's really great advice because I think I don't want to say it's easy, but it's kind of easy to just turn away.
It is, and it has to be sometimes you have to.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to, because that person is so far gone that you have to worry about your safety too,
Right.
and your well-being and your livelihood. If they're stealing from you or hurting you or taking advantage of you, that happens so often. That's why there's was it the Al-Anon? Al-Anon, I think it's called Al-Anon. It's basically people that are family members of addicts have meetings where they go to together and talk about the things that they're going through. but just trying to understand and still loving them
Yeah.
is very important.
And then my last question is, what is a belief you used to have that has completely changed now?
That I'll actually be able to give what I am capable of giving. I always wanted to give so much love to everything and everybody, but I just always gave all of this love and care to people that I don't want to say they didn't deserve it, but they certainly didn't respect it or appreciate it. I'm at a point in my life now where I have these people around me, whether it's my wife or my children, that I can give all of that to, and they reciprocate it. And giving that is growing my family into this like awesome little army of entrepreneurs, and we love each other so much. And it's exactly what I wanted. I never thought that the cycle was going to break. Thought I was going to be my dad, and then I was going to die young. And then my son, then when I had him, I said, oh my God, I'm going to die young. And then my son's going to grow up to be me and die young. But I broke the cycle.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, seriously, it's incredible the journey that you've had and where you are today. And I'm so thankful
Thank you.
because we can have this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a cool dude.
Thank
You
you.
lived a crazy fucking life too.
Yeah. There's a bunch more stuff too, but there's a lot of funny stuff and other things. But I think that this stuff really, I hope it helps people that are going through it, or people that have gone through it and that are having shaky thoughts. Because you still do. I mean, I'm 7 years in. I've got 7 years clean. And I still have days where I'm like, oh my God, this fucking sucks. I want to get high. And then I've got my wife, luckily, to talk me off that ledge. And then she has me to talk her off that ledge. So I would say anybody that is newly sober, clean, or has been clean and sober for a long time, you have to have a support system. You need it. It's so hard to do it alone.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
You need either some people find it in faith and in God and Christianity or Catholicism or whatever their religion may be. Some people find it in a sponsor through AA. Some people find it through the 12-step program. But whatever it is, just latch onto that and keep them close, because those bad days pop up sometimes, even when everything's perfect.
Community is so important.
It really is.
Like, even we've just been kind of reflecting on just like this podcast, like in general, and like where we really want to go with it. And we were like, well, what do we believe in? And we have decided that we believe that you need community, that everyone needs community.
You do.
And it really shapes like who you are, good or bad, because there's all sorts of communities out there. The homeless community in San Francisco, or like for us, CrossFit, motorcycles, like that's our community, jiu-jitsu. And so it's like you can find your family in so many different places, but that support group that you're talking about is so vital to living and being
Absolutely.
happy.
With or without addiction.
Yeah.
With or without addiction. I mean, throughout my life, I've done so many different things, whether it was being in a band or doing the woodworking thing or skateboarding or just writing, and the whole, like, there's a poetry community that I was involved in. There's so much out there, and everybody needs somebody, and just to be there for someone, no matter what, regardless of what it is, it changes lives.
It does. Yeah.
And
it
I
truly
think you
does.
guys are killing it.
Oh,
You really
thank
are.
you.
Your podcast, it looks fucking rad.
Well, thank you. Well, this is both of us. This a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into putting this together.
Well, it's sick.
Thank you.
It's sick. And I think that you guys are doing something awesome. And I love Reno. I love San Francisco too, but I love Reno. I've lived here my whole life.
Yeah.
So somebody actually talking to people from Reno about Reno makes me happy.
Oh, yeah. I think Reno is such a booming community right now, and I think it's actually very underrated, and a lot of people shit on Reno, and I'm kind of like, keep
know.
shitting on it because I don't want people to move here.
No. Well, and it is already growing so much because I'm in the trades. I see.
Yeah.
We are so busy.
Oh, I bet.
Which is great for business, but if you're gonna come here, don't fuck it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep Reno weird.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, because it really is a strange place. It's the only place like it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's literally no place that has. You have the mountains, you have the desert, you have gambling, you have nightlife, you have all these different subcultures that are here. Like it's unlike any other place. I mean, I grew up in the Bay Area. He grew up in Sacramento. And so even just coming over here, we're only like 3 or 4 hours away, and it was a culture shock.
Yeah.
Like I was like,
for
oh
sure.
my gosh.
And everyone here acts different. When I would leave when I was younger, I would always think like, damn, that place, man, San Francisco sure is strange. Or I'd be like, Sacramento is weird. But then I started to realize when I got older, I said, no, they're all kind of the same.
Yeah.
Reno's fucking weird.
Reno's weird.
I come here and I love the people. Like,
Yeah.
that's what it is. There's something about it. There's a grease and a grime. Nobody gives a shit how much money you make. Nobody cares what you do. Just be a good person, be yourself, and people gravitate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can rub shoulders with people that are fucking multimillionaires and wouldn't even know the difference.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's like incline, I feel.
Yeah, for sure. You can go up there and be fucking doing a line of coke off someone's booty and find out that they're fucking...
Your dad's a billionaire?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, to put a ribbon on this, shout out where people can buy your work, can check out what you do, plug your socials,
Nonprofit,
woodworking,
all of it.
nonprofit.
Yeah, for sure. So for the woodworking stuff, you can go to Rosalie Woodworking on whether it's Facebook and Instagram and or Randall B. On other woodworking, if you're looking for cabinets, go to Sierra Foothill Cabinetry because I'm also over there and we are super, super rad.
Perfect.
Best cabinet makers in town. Bottom line, that's a very arrogant thing to say, but it's true.
No, you're just stating the facts. You're just dropping
Standing on
facts
business,
here.
literally.
And if you want to be involved with our wonderful nonprofit and the wonderful people that are on the board, you can go to allnationsartcollective.org, All Nations Art Collective on Instagram, All Nations Art Collective on Facebook.
Perfect.
Rocking.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for coming
Thanks
on.
for having me, guys.
Yeah.
I'm so stoked.
Oh,
It was
we are
fun.
too. Yeah.
This was cool. This is honestly one of my favorite conversations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Randall, you're a
Tried
cool
to get
cat.
some cool shit out and like not make it too like just fucking junky this, junky that, you know?
Yeah.
No, your story shows so much like grit and just the fact that you are living and on the other side sober and successful, have a happy family, like, or doing you're giving back to the community. Like there's so much hope for people with your story. So
is.
thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And if I could do this, anyone can do it.
Yeah.
And they should. You
Yes.
guys are doing it. Look what you guys are doing. You guys are doing all kinds of shit. It's rad.
Well, thank you.
Giving me a platform. It's awesome.
We're having fun.
Yeah.
What
Thanks
this is.
for having me, guys.